You know it's this. Take a perk and a talk and it's it. Money swallowed like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion new single, my hater, the big better put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million, the devil, that shit ain't not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the third part of What If Naruto Enters Jujutsu High and is a special grade. Important note, this fanfic is written in the masterpiece of Nasha Rei-Kun on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Jujutsu High. They made it to the end of the giant Torii gates, Sage putting the Fushiguro siblings down with a nod towards them. Thank you, Sage. Tsumiki smiled brightly as the Shikigami shot her a thumbs up. No problem, Master's always happy to find reasons to bring me out, thanks for that, the Oni said as Megumi stared at him. I think I can do something like you, the boy said. I just remembered, Megumi told Naruto, who blinked while Satoru cupped his chin with a small smile. Hold on there, Megu-kun, you may want to wait, Satoru said, confusing the boy. The thing is, there are eyes all over. We'll want to do this in private, he finished, patting both siblings on the back. Still, welcome to Tokyo Jujutsu High School. This is the place where sorcerers are made. You spoke about something like that, Tsumiki said as the five of them began to walk. And Megumi wants to be one, she added as her brother's head fell. The world's dangerous, Tsumiki-chan. Megumi, Naruto said seriously. It's not wrong for him to want to become strong to protect you. It's an amazing reason to want to be a sorcerer. Megumi considered him. Naruto-san. Yeah. Why do you want to be a sorcerer? Naruto closed his eyes as they walked, Sage pulling the siblings' luggage with ease. I want to do a lot of things, honestly, Naruto said, eyes opening to look up at the sky. I want to give back to the people who gave me something precious. I want to change the system of the Jujutsu world. It's old, it's tradition-based, and it needs to be changed for the better so we can understand and accept everyone equally for who they are and what they want to be, and lastly, I want to make Toji-sensei proud. They stopped for a moment. Dad must have had a big effect on you, Tsumiki whispered. Probably not in the way you think, the blonde said. I found him once, stalking me, they sweat dropped as Satoru cackled. And you want to know the first thing I thought about? What? Megumi asked. I mean, a big scary guy was stalking you. Naruto snickered. Oh, yeah, your dad was huge. He is, Tsumiki grinned. Heh, and, well, the first thing I thought was to go and see what's up, the blonde said with a sly grin. Man, you should have saw his face. He was not expecting me to find him so easily. I guess Dad was really good at hiding. Oh, he is, Satoru said with a shaky grin. Very good, God help me. Don't mind him, he just got kinda spooked, Naruto said casually. If we'll call that spooking, alright. Following that, we spoke a lot about just life, and I told him what was up with me. He explained his and Toji's condition, the siblings looking surprised. So, how can you summon Sage? Megumi asked, looking at the Oni spirit. Sage's talisman is a bit special. That was before I got something different, the blonde said quietly. I'll tell ya when we get somewhere private. They walked in companionable silence after that, the GOJO duo taking the kids to dormitories. When they arrived, they found a familiar woman standing there. Kiroi smiled at the two children, crouching down to their level while smoothing out her long skirt, a baggy black long-sleeve top over her torso. Satoru raised a brow. Huh, didn't expect to see you here, Kiroi, he said as Naruto nodded. Sup, Kiroi ni, he said before turning to Megumi and Tsumiki. This is Misato Kiroi. She's the older sister-mother figure to a friend of ours. Kiroi blushed, but smiled brightly all the same. In a sad way, she and a girl named Riko are kinda like you too. Really? Tsumiki asked, and the older woman smiled sadly. I don't suppose your family's not around anymore, right? The woman asked softly, and the girl's head fell a bit as she nodded. Oh, dear, Kiroi lifted her chin with a smile. I know some things aren't, they'll never be the same, things change, but I know you both can find people who will accept you. That I can promise, she grinned. Like Naruto-kun, he's a known troublemaker. Guilty as charged, Naruto said proudly as Megumi raised a brow at him. Hee, so, this is where we start, Megumi, he told him. Will she make me a sorcerer? The boy asked. Nope, that'll be Yuta, Naruto began to say. But someone surprising beat him to the punch. Nah, that's gonna be me, Satoru said with a smile, crouching down to the kid's level. Likely me and Naru, right here. I'm something of a big deal around here. Megumi-kun, I'm called one of the strongest. Naruto rolled his eyes with a chuckle. So, would you like me to train ya? The boy blinked at him in surprise, eyes going to the chatting Tsumiki who was talking at length with Kiroi. Can I make sure sis is never sad? He asked. Nope, the boy's jaw dropped. No, listen, there's probably something you'll need to understand about people like us, your dad, and I guess soldiers, Satoru whispered. Sometimes, there's no way to make even ourselves always happy. Naruto here really cared about your dad, his master, but things got out of hand. Megumi's head turned to see that smile, the sad one. Another piece fell into place of a 1,000-piece puzzle. But then why? If you aren't happy all the time, Megumi wondered. Megumi, sad as it might sound, no one's happy all the time, Naruto told the other boy with that same smile from before but a bit lighter. It's a part of life, like losing a pet or even breaking a toy, but we're going to keep on trying to be happy, he chuckled at the boy's look of confusion. Because the whole world's full of stuff that can make you happy. Or maybe even right here at Jujutsu High, people aren't happy all the time, but when they are happy, those unhappy times are something you're willing to deal with. The boy looked so confused, but inspired, oddly enough. I don't really get it, he admitted. But if that's true, I'd like to do it for Nichan. Hee, like Naru here said, you got the right motivation for it, Satoru said. The six sat in the cafeteria, the group eating some brunch. So, Tsumiki-chan doesn't want to be a sorcerer. That's fine, Kiroi said as the girl blushed while nodding. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to be on this side of our life. To step into the jujutsu world isn't something you can easily step away from. There are trials and battles you'll fight that might push you to your limits. That's not meant for everyone. And Megumin's gonna be working with us, Satoru grinned as Megumi blushed while mumbling. You gotta do your best to keep up, Megu-kun. Naru's essentially the leading charge of your generation. That's a high bar to follow. Naruto blushed a bit while he laughed. Take your time to get strong. There are risks you'll have to take to get stronger, but there's nothing wrong with us going at our own pace. Whether it's faster or slower, you'll find your way to it. Megumi, you just need to keep on focusing. The younger boy nodded, looking at the blonde with confusion. The first thing they did after eating was go to a small dojo. Along the way, Geto and one other young woman arrived. She stared at the two boys with a look of adoration the moment they met. Naruto chuckled nervously. Hey, Mei ni. He was up in another woman's arms almost on sight, the blonde grumbling about the situation. Satoru smirked as Kiroi tilted her head. I don't believe we've met, she said to him, and he grinned before throwing out his hands in a showy gesture as Mei ni smirked. Welcome to the jujutsu world's #1 opportunist, Mei, he declared with a laugh. Mei was an above-average height young woman with fair skin, brown eyes, and long pale blue hair set in a ponytail with 2 long bangs at the front. Wearing a black, thick-looking, collared dress with a black belt, sturdy-looking dark brown boots, and a white tie, this Jujutsu High student grinned as she held onto Naruto like a stuffed bear. The blonde just looked resigned to his fate. I thought you were on a mission vacation combo, Naruto asked weakly as Tsumiki giggled while Megumi blinked in complete confusion. Yeah. It's been almost 2 months, Naru too, she squealed, hugging the boy some more. God, I can't wait to have a little brother boy like you. That's not worrying or anything. Hey, come on, Mei Satoru grinned, standing in some baggy black clothes. We're supposed to be training, not cuddling. Geto snickered in a white shirt and some baggy dark blue shorts. I don't think she'd be against doing both. I wouldn't, the young woman grinned as Sage sat snugly in her arms. Why, All right, Megumi, let's do this, Naruto said as he led the boy to the center of their tatami-matted floors, wearing an orange muscle shirt and black shorts. So, you said your technique's like Sage? Huh, Geto blinked. Learning under pressure, he rationalized like a champion. Mei blinked once more before looking at the blinking Oni child. I'm kinda alright with this, she seemed to realize, stuffing her face into the child's hair. He smells like oranges. Satoru didn't even give that situation the attention it clearly needed. Alright, boys and girls, let's do this. Megumin is a special boy that most of you will be able to figure out in a couple seconds, he declared, blindfold resting around his neck and his hands combing through his hair. Mei. I have some styling gel, we'll pick something you like, she picked up in an instant with a grin. And 5,000 yen. Damn it, woman, I'm sure there are barbers cheaper than that. I like it, Satoru said before immediately switching gears. It's fine, 6,000 yen. Oh, he knows me so well. Unfortunately, now, Megumi raised a brow, standing in front of Naruto in a long-sleeved black top and black sweatpants. All right, the reserved boy said, forming a barking dog shadow puppet gesture. I have to do stuff like this, Megumi told Naruto. Divine dogs. The shadows below the boy contorted before out came a pair of dogs. One white, one black, both looking more like wolves than dogs with 3 dots on each of their foreheads in complementary colors of white, for the black dog, and black, for the white dog. Both wolf Shikigami bore yellow sclere with black eyes, their sizes well, they'd likely be threatening one day. The 2 pups looked at Naruto curiously as Kiroi and Mei adored them. The blonde chuckled before kneeling to their level, the animals approaching him curiously before the white one scaled him to sit on his head with a look of tranquility on its face. The black pup followed suit, using Megumi as his tower. Needless to say, photos were taken so quickly, one would have thought the sun was flashing the boys personally. Kiroi trembled in euphoria, the pictures quickly sent to Riko. Her phone rang. Oh my god, we're coming, right now. In seconds, Kushina was squealing as she rubbed cheeks with the white dog while Riko did the same for the black one. Megumi rubbed the back of his head as Naruto chuckled a bit. Yeah, adults are weird, trust me, it never goes away, the blonde said. Sage performed a palm thrust that gently knocked the white pup back while the black one laid on the ground with swirls in his eyes. It's like a Pokemon battle, Tsumiki whispered with big all eyes as Minato chuckled, the 2 and the others sitting on the sidelines of the training session. Can I have a Shikigami J just to keep? Well, they're not pets, Minato said as the girl pouted. But, in a different vein, knowing how to protect yourself would also be nice. A Shikigami is a really low-maintenance spirit to keep around just in case. Ni-chan can do that, can't she? Megumi asked as he hurried over to pick up his divine dogs. Well, it'd depend, Yuta said. Because if she were to be given a Shikigami, Tsumiki-chan needs to know some of the basics. Maybe not enough to get her into trouble, I suppose. I'll handle the background stuff, Satoru said with a big grin as Yuta shot him a look of confusion. My students are need of protection, Haim-chan. Her eyebrow twitched as Kushina and Mei giggled off to the side. Is that so? Yep. Don't act rashly in front of the children who weren't Naruto. But it was so hard to not just attack Satoru right then and there. Naruto, how'd you make yours so tough? Megumi asked the older boy as Sage flexed. He's also got so big, he said, looking up a bit at the Shikigami. Sage and me are a bit different when it comes to Shikigami and Master, Naruto said. Yep, Sage said. Master's got a whole different kind of crazy going on with him. Really? Megumi asked. How do you get used to it if it's different? He turned the question to Naruto. I just gotta go with the flow and work with it. Satoru, Mei's smile froze on her face. Why is that Shikigami able to speak? What does he mean by Naru being a different kind of crazy? Is that last one rhetorical? The blindfolded man asked. Satoru. Look, there's a bit of something going on with Naru right now, from a month or so back. We figured out what was going on with his body, Mei looked surprised. Yeah. Naruto's heavenly restriction isn't normal, not in the least, Geto smiled as the young woman tilted her head. Haha. He explained the situation without remorse, the bits and pieces necessary for understanding all told in an organic and dramatic manner. By the end of it all, Mei's eyebrow twitched rapidly while Geto and Satoru began to laugh. I see, she said slowly, Shoko coming into the area with Yaga. Why is my life getting so odd all of a sudden? Hey, Mei, Shoko called out as she and their principal-to-be came over before sitting down on her side. So, is this that Megumi boy? Then she saw the boy's divine dogs and wheezed as Satoru grinned. Yep, turns out, Toji's a class act when it comes to children, he said. He has the 10 Shadows technique, the most prized cursed technique of the Zenin clan. And you have him here, right now, and you and Naruto are gonna... Yep. I don't like where this is going, Yaga said with a groan. First what he did with the superiors, and now Satoru's causing mischief. Huh? Wait, who? Mei asked before Yaga pointed at Naruto. Why is he getting into trouble? She asked before slowly looking at Satoru. Oi, I don't cause all his problems, just a couple of them, he said before reconsidering some things. You know. Yes, we do know you're a problem, Geto smirked as his friends grinned nervously. Back with Naruto and Megumi, the two boys nodded to something before separating again. All right, Naruto said to Megumi as the boy set his wolves down at his sides before nodding to the blonde. We'll try this instead, the Uzumaki began as Sage nodded to him. You need to be able to lead your partners properly so Sage is only gonna dodge and block. Your goal is to get a hit on, or grab, him with either the divine dogs or yourself. Myself? The boy looked worried. I don't how. Ah, Megumin, Satoru called out with a raised finger as the boy blinked at him. You'll likely get to learn a bit more about cursed energy control by trying to catch Sage. You have to devote your entire being to this task. Try your best, aim to be the best like me. There it is, Yutaheim grumbled as Minato chuckled. He's right, though, by making use of his body and Shikigami, Megumi-kun can expand his senses and try to tame the weakness of most Shikigami users, he said. Weakness? Naruto asked as Megumi nodded in confusion. Pops, what are you on about? Most Shikigami users are like wizards, Geto explained with a smile, getting up and summoning a familiar manta ray cursed spirit. Think of it with me as an example. I can fight up close, but if I was a regular Shikigami user, I'd just hide on this cursed spirit while attacking from afar. That's another thing. That's most Shikigami users' bread and butter. Megumi considered it, looking down at his hands. All right, he said with determination as Naruto smiled before considering something while looking at Sage. The Shikigami caught his eye and nodded, form glowing a soft black before it stopped. All right, let's try it, the blonde said. Sage jumped in place as Megumi stalked ahead with his shadow companions. We need to box him in, the boy told his dogs who nodded. Shiru, go in. The white pup ran ahead as Sage crossed his arms and waited. By the time the pup reached him, he jumped over it. Kuro. The black puppy came around with a bark before lunging at the Oni. A single raised hand repelled it, Sage nodding while looking calm. Megumi ran at it before trying to tackle it only to find Sage ducking beneath him and sliding behind him. Nice try, the Shikigami said as Megumi got up before trying again. He jumped for him, hand out, before Sage slunk around the limb and grabbed it. A second later, Megumi was on the mats below as Sage dodged Kuro and Shiru. The puppies tried to attack, but each headbutt, swipe, or nibble was either palmed away, dodged, and, most embarrassingly, avoided with chin scratches. The divine dogs looked defeated in every other way than physically, the adults laughing at the expressive hounds. Megumi rubbed his cheek before getting up and going after the Oni again. Sage slipped around the boy's tackle before smiling as he tried again. And again. And again. Megumi gasped a bit as the Shikigami stood ahead of his on all fours form. You're so fast, he groaned as the Shikigami chuckled. Of course, the Shikigami corpse said. I have a sort of deep body idea on how to use my cursed energy. With Master's positive energy around my core, I can use my life's full potential. You're not even fighting me at my best. Yaga perked up. Sage-kun, what do you mean? Well, you remember our talk, right? The man nodded. I can only use that cursed energy stuff, but Master's positive energy does something different. Oh? Satoru asked. How so? We know it enhances vitality and stuff. Right there, that, Sage said. Master's power enhances life I've barely got, but I can use my body to its fullest. the Oni said as he glowed. Like this. He punched the air. And a power gust nearly picked Megumi up off the ground, the boy stumbling to his feet just in time. Satoru whistled at that. Maybe, he considered something. Its limits, essentially, Minato said as Sage nodded and Yaga cupped his chin. Likely, Naruto's power enhances like cursed energy, but not so much pure attack power and defense, but as an all-rounder to a lesser degree. While doing so, the positive energy releases the limits on the person who it's directed towards. Oh, so like the Kaioken, Shoko realized as half the group's sweat dropped. Hey, I can use a reference, too. Plus, it's just a medically interesting technique even for an anime. Right, Naruto said as he considered his own hands. I don't know how long it'll be until I can use my own energy and stuff, he told them, looking down at the weights on his arms and legs. So, I'll just keep training like normal. I mean, hell, it's probably doing something while I do that, I guess. Honestly, probably a lot, Shoko considered. You're the home for that energy. You'll likely use it to its best efficiency, she grinned shakily. God knows how strong you'll be as you get older. Maybe Toji strong if you keep at it, Satoru said with a sweat drop. Ah, don't use that on me. I still get flashbacks. No promises, for the sake of my master and blackmail, Naruto said resolutely. Huh, how strong was Dad? Tsumiki asked Satoru, who wore a shaky grin. Super enhanced gorilla strong, he said. Whoa, that's pretty strong. Satoru knew that well. Could I get that strong? Megumi asked Naruto, who considered his question. Maybe not physically, but definitely with your power's potential, the blonde grinned. I actually read a scroll that said a Zenin with your power, a thing called the 10 Shadows technique, could fight a guy like Aniki to a standstill. Is he that strong? He looks so skinny. Herc? Satoru wheezed as Geto started laughing along with Rico. Hey, I'm not skinny. This uniform is just good at hiding the temple that is my body. Temple? You look like a plank of wood, Megumi muttered. Utaheim's smirk had Satoru's eyebrow twitching while Yaga. Kothatsuruka, the man fake coughed as Shoko broke down in hilarity. Excuse me, clearing my throat. You son of a... Not in front of children, the Miko woman smirked as Kushina chuckled. Honestly, not like you don't deserve it. Satoru just grumbled. Go back to your training, your master demands it, he said with a huff and crossed arms. Naruto rolled his eyes. Come on, Megu, let's do this. Sage, 25%. The Oni nodded, form glowing that black color. Oh, that's what you're doing, Kiroi realized as the Shikigami nodded. I thought you were bracing your body for possible pain. Nah, no offense to Megover, but I'm not worried about him and his dogs hurting me, the Oni said. I see. All right, let's do this. Megumi nodded before preparing to attack. How do I catch him? His previous plan hadn't worked, and he knew that the Oni was holding back. But Naruto said just grab him. I don't need to beat him up. Not like he could, but he was just considering a thought. Kuro and Shiru began to prowl the Oni in a circle, the two with their heads down and bodies turned. Then they attacked, lunging like little slow comets that he dodged by ducking down and rolling forward. They landed before going around at the Oni once more, the Oni child blocking, chin scratching, or dodging with ease. Megumi observed it all for a couple seconds before noticing his turn back. Keep him occupied, he pleaded as he slowly snuck up on the distracted Shikigami, and got him. He jumped at the Shikigami with his arms out, and found himself held up by the back of his top, looking confused. Nice try, Naruto praised him as Megumi grumbled, being put down by the Oni. You're getting it. Your Shikigami can think for themselves. They can attack while you do something else. It's something. I still lost, Megumi muttered before getting a hair ruffle for his troubles. You learn from losing most of the time, the blonde said as he pat his back while Sage crossed his arms once more. You're still new to, well, all of this. You're not a fighter yet, you can't use cursed energy, you're not used to working with your Shikigami, none of it. Take it for what it is, your starting line. The boy pouted a bit and Naruto snickered. No laughing, fine. Good, now, we can work on your other kinds of training. Others? As the two boys began to go through Naruto brand training, Satoru, Geto, and Riko walked over before the five were speaking at length about how Megumi could continue his training. Sometimes, I really do wonder what happened to make him so. Yuta tried to find the words before Kushina smiled. Kind? Mature? The mother said as Yuta smirked a bit. You might not know it, or maybe you did, but it took a backseat to his teasing, the younger woman grumbled. But Satoru adores that boy of mine, probably more than we think at times. The others raised their brows at that, watching as Naruto explained something that had him making swimming motions. Megumi shot him a flat look. Geto looked nervous. Riko paled. And Satoru, he grinned before ruffling Naruto's hair and holding up a finger in consideration that had the other rolling their eyes or obviously insulting him. Naruto simply shot the man finger guns he shot back. God, they're like brothers, Shoko groaned as Minato laughed at that. You know, though. Yeah, me and Geto did notice. I guess that mission was really rough on him. I know he told me that we were gonna go get ramen one of these days, all you can eat for Naruto. He knows how much that boy puts away. The parents' eyes grew a bit sad. I get it, I do, Minato said, rubbing the back of his head. He's my first and only child, yet it's like the world changed when we met for the first time. He makes me want to protect him immensely, but Naruto's also wise beyond his years sometimes. I do feel like I missed out on a lot with him, he added. Yeah, in a way, our boy seemed to grow up so easily and quickly, Kushina said. Yet, Naruto's very willing to be childish. He wants to be childish. He enjoys it. I think he also thinks he missed a lot, she added as Yuta looked at the boy in question patting his Shikigami on the shoulder. Then Riko tried to wrestle it before being put on her back. I see. The parents laughed as soon as Naruto did, the boy helping the girl up before giving her pointers and moving back with the others. Sage and Riko went at it before Naruto, Satoru, Geto, and Megumi split up. The cursed spirit user grouping with Megumi while Satoru went with Naruto. All right, time to teach, Kushina grinned as they all got up before going to their respective tutor circles. How's it going, boys? The woman asked, approaching Naruto with Minato and Shoko while Yaga went towards Riko and Sage with Yuta, Mei, and Kiroi. Last but not least, Sumiki grinned as she hurried towards her brother with an excited grin. Well, Naru wants to try and access his positive energy, Satoru said with a grin as Naruto sat by a wall and meditated. I'm supposed to watch, he added as he took off his blindfold and did as asked for a second before putting it back on. So, you can imagine, we're having fun. I can imagine, Kushina chuckled as Shoko walked over to Naruto before sitting down next to him. Feel anything, Shoko-chan? Yeah, kinda, the young woman said with a hum. He's moving it around in his body. His control's pretty decent. I'm sure. Naruto's had an amazing sensory skill since he was young, after all, Minato said. Still, right now. The younger blonde's tall appeared in a spasm of golden energy, its length coming around to rest by his noggin, rubbing it. Oh, he's doing fine, Minato blinked before chuckling. Still, if Sage is right, he's got a ways ahead of him until he can use his blessed techniques. I wonder if that would stop him from using reverse curse technique, Shoko considered. I mean, usually, it's about apply FUNN and then shoosh followed by sploosh and finished off with him. After that, you repeat the process, she said like it was common sense. Oh, that's how that works, Satoru asked sarcastically. I just used it all over and I felt better. What a waste of energy. Yeah, no, I'm not dealing with that. Shoko-chan's explanations probably need a few more details, Kushina said as Minato walked and sat by his son. So, wait, divine dogs count as one Shikigami? Geto asked, surprised, as the boy nodded. It feels like one thing, Megumi said as his pets licked Tsumiki's cheeks, his sister's giggles getting a smile out of him. I can do any more than this because the other ones are scary. You can do more? Tsumiki asked, holding the puppy spirits in her arms with big bright eyes. That's amazing, Megumi. I might need to get stronger to get more. Geto smirked a bit at the boy's look of determination. It's obvious but not wrong, the boy's motivation was to make his sister happy, nothing bad. Then, I'd like to know if you can do certain things with divine dogs, all right? The boy nodded. Gah. Riko laid flat on the mats, crocodile tears running down her face. He's like 3 feet tall. How is he beating? She whined as Sage chuckled. I'm fun-sized, he said like it was no big thing, Mei smirking as she walked over and picked him up. See? Oh god, I got beat by a simpleton. Now, there's no need to be mean to Sage-kun, Yaga said as Kuroi giggled a bit. Simple is fine for a lot of people. But I'm special, Riko shot him with big watery eyes he leaned back from. You gotta have some ideas? I've got none. Yes, well. HMPH, Kuroi smiled brightly. Why not try and copy some of Kurama's skills, she offered as Yaga sighed in relief while Riko perked up. Of course, she jumped to her feet with a grin. Wait, what kind of things could he do again? Barriers were a skill Kurama had, Yutaheim said with some thought. Yaga-sensei? Barriers, energy control, Riko whined, and he rubbed the back of his head. Right. Besides those two, Kurama had the ability to link with Naruto and expand his senses. Huh? Riko blinked. Well, me and Naru are supposed to be a cool team, but I need to have me skill, don't I? He's better than me at a lot of skills I have. Well, that's not wrong, but you have to try, Riko. I know. So, you know there are more Shikigami you can summon to exercise? Geto asked the boy with interest. That's how the 10 Shadows technique works. That was rather enlightening. It was such a curious technique. Yes, they're always here, Megumi pointed at his shadow. I know they're there. Curious, and you're not strong enough to exercise them yourself, yet. I can see how this might get in the way, but you should probably focus on other things. The boy looked confused. Right now, Megumi-kun, you only have 2 Shikigami. If they're destroyed, you'd need to fight a Shikigami all on your own to gain another shadow. So, for now, you should focus on maximizing what you can do with divine dogs to make sure they don't die. The boy swallowed as his sister gasped. You gotta be careful. Kuro and Shiru are too cute to die, the girl said nervously. I know, the boy said quickly as Geto smiled. 1 week later. Days had passed since then, leaving them on the 2nd week of Naruto being conscious, and now prepared to go into the Zenin household to meet with the head, Naobito Zenin. So, Kushina began as their entire group sat in Satoru's room in Jujutsu High. What do you plan on doing, Naru-kun? She asked her son. Wearing a long orange chengsam with black borders, black pants with yellow ornate circles on the thighs, and black ninja sandals, Naruto adjusted his Ryu bang on his lower back before tightening a pouch on his thigh for Sage's talisman. I mean, well, talk to the guy, he said like it was the simplest thing in the world. I'm already wearing mom-enhanced clothing. I'm surprised you knew how to do that, Kushina-san, Yutaheim said. I didn't think anyone but our uniform makers knew how to make those. I did act as one for a bit, Kushina said, surprising most of the group. I've made over half our clothes like that. I want my family as safe as can be, thank you very much. That's why we're both going, Minato said with a smile. Wearing a similar outfit to his son, but with dark blue, silver, and gold in place of orange, black, and border accents, Minato had a box on his thigh full of talismans of his own making. Ah, here, he opened the box up before taking out a pair of talismans before giving them to his son. Just some barrier talismans. Naruto blinked at the blue with white scripture items before nodding. They're fitted for you, Yutaheim said, black bags beneath her eyes that had Naruto wincing. No, it's fine, I promise, making those in time took a few all-nighters. We'll need to do something for Haim-chan, Kushina said as the woman in question smiled tiredly, listing a bit to the side before Satoru's finger pushed her back. Okay, I know you said it'd be better for Uncle to go, but why? Satoru asked with a small pout as Geto shook his head. Do you honestly need to ask that? He asked him. Satoru, you're the shining lamb of your clan and one with both cursed techniques in over 100 years. The last time someone like you and a Zenin met, it ended in a double homicide. And? Oh my god. Shoko, please. Stop being an idiot, the third positive energy user in the room said. Ignoring that, you'd likely make the situation more tense than it needs to be. Minato-san is a proven smooth talker. Right now, Naruto just needs to talk with Naobito Zenin, while his dad just needs to keep the situation under control. Your belief in me is staggering, Satoru said, messing with his new slicked up and back hairstyle. Fine, I'm not an idiot. I just want to be sure we've got deterrence from any antsy guys. That's what this guy is for, Naruto said, a small brown-toed Shikigami sitting on his shoulder. You guys can see the situation from here while we're in there. Anything crazy happens. You're one application of my technique away, Minato said with a smile as Satoru felt the dimly glowing Hurricane talisman on his bicep. It'd be rough revealing that card of ours, but anything for the sake of keeping the situation in our favor. Mei hummed. Well, when did you say you'd meet him? She asked. I know what you mean, Minato nodded. We'll be going there several minutes ahead of time. It's good to show we're punctual while also making him realize he might be taking up our time. There's the businessman, Riko said. Time to hide your tail, Naruto-kun, she said, fox ears still on her head but tail gone. I kinda wish mine were the other way around. As it turned out, she could make her tail disappear thanks to Naruto's tutelage, but that was it. Her ears stayed no matter how much her powers were hidden or even sealed. It was something she'd just have to deal with, sadly. Yeah, Naruto nodded, the extra limb vanishing without any effort. All right, Pops, let's go and see a Zenin. I'm sure there will be more, Minato said. All the research we could all do led to the conclusion we'll be sitting before a series of either their elders and high squad or the 5 toughest members of their clan. Either or, really, they shouldn't be seeking a fight, just some grandstanding though not for our favor. They got up with Kushina and Satoru getting up with them. Let's go. Zenin Clan Estate. Walking to the Zenin Estate was curious, especially because of the amount of land the clan had. Whoa, Naruto blinked at it all, Minato nodding as a Shikigami falcon flew around from above, form barely a blur to those not used to high-speed combat. The Zenin Estate wasn't small in the least. After walking up a large number of cleanly made stone steps and pathways, you ended up at a large lake with a series of bridges within it, dotted by Zenin family members, that led towards what was an enormous amount of homes and buildings. The homes were uniform in color and style, interconnected by well-made external pathways filled with more Zenin family members, while looking to the sides would allow the blondes to see even more land. Minato's Shikigami appeared by the man, landing on his shoulder where he noticed its wing was clipped. I see, he dispelled it with a smile. He really told his whole family about this, Minato said as Naruto folded his arms behind his head before father and son began to walk towards the main house. There's a couple of them in the water, Naruto said as they passed by a few of them. 2, 4, 6, 10 of them. They're not feeling angry but cautious, he told Minato, who nodded before noticing Naruto's wrists. Still wearing them? Naruto blinked before perking up. Oh, yeah, I didn't think about taking them off. Didn't you just get the next set of pounds? Minato cupped his chin with interest. If I'm right, his son's internal abilities were truly something to be feared even at his current age. It's just, I was wondering if they're supposed to set in or not. Scratch that. Naruto's limits have likely skyrocketed, and there was something else. Those who lose cursed energy typically become physical monsters. Even before all of this, Naruto had been over thrice the strength of a 7-year-old with his weights on. With them off, the boy was faster than an Olympic athlete at 7. So, with his new power. Maki, get back here. The two blinked before turning their heads to the side to see a girl hurrying after what looked like a floating ball. I can get it, Maki said as she reached for the floating object. The running girl tripped with a wince, hands still reaching out for the ball in the river. Before blinking as she was set back on her feet by Minato, the man laughing a bit as he handed her back her toy. The entire Zenin family members around flinched. Too fast. Way too fast. The girl, Maki, looked up at Minato as Naruto landed behind him. Good work, Dad, he grinned as his father nodded. Thanks. Now, young lady, Minato crouched down to Maki's level. Please, be careful. You might have ended up with a cold because of such a fall, he said as he observed her for bruising. She was about as short as Naruto was, with chin-length dark green hair, fair skin, and brown eyes that shot him a look of disbelief. Wearing a white shiitake, black hakama, tabi socks, and zori sandals, the young female Zenin gasped. HMPH, Minato nodded before standing to his feet, allowing the girl to see the man's grinning son. Alright, please be careful next time, Maki-kun. He smiled before turning around and walking off with his child. Later, Naruto waved back with a chuckle before turning back around. Oh, there are more of them in the water over here. Maki's eyes widened. He can see them? Her mind ran a whirl with thoughts, remembering what the entire family had been told about their visitors. Maki, came another girl's voice, one who looked nearly the same as Maki herself. Her only real difference was her hair, which had begun to become fluffy, as she liked to call it. Are you all right? The other girl, her twin, asked with a look back at the two blondes. Dad's gonna be mad, she said as her head fell before she found a ball in her face. Here, Maki grinned as her sister stared in shock before taking it with a small smile. I know, but it's your favorite ball, she said as their mother ran up to them with a horrified look. I know, mother. The woman grimaced, looking away with what Maki had long since realized was shame. She hated it. The look, the expression, and being the one who caused it. Back with the father-son duo, they'd reached the doors of the main clan building, both sides of it having a guard. Wearing a pair of black pants tightened by the ankles and shins with white wrappings, black martial artist slip-ons, and white robe tops with the wrists secured by black forearm guards, they wielded a pair of spears that sat crossed above in front of the door. We're here to speak with Naobito Zenin-san, Minato said simply and matter-of-factly. We're all well aware of your invitation, one of the two men said with a frown, the two of them lifting their weapons as a voice came from within the home. Come in. The guards jumped a bit, looking concerned, while Minato and Naruto nodded before giving in to the command. Sliding the double doors apart, they found a huge dojo within their first steps. Sitting within it were 5 individuals. Naobito smirked at the father-son duo, dressed as he always was, while a teen sat beside him with a raised brow. He was older than Naruto by likely a decade, bearing fair skin with a slightly angular chin, calculative brown eyes, and black hair with a dyed blonde center. Wearing a pair of black hakama, tabi socks, a dull green haori, and white shiitake, he shot the two a look of disinterest. Oh, you're gonna be fun, Naruto thought as he saw Ogi and Junichi. They're the other two, and that right guy's the one with an experiment. He wanted to roll his eyes. But his attention went to the last person in the room, a young man who might have been only 5 years Naruto's senior. He was around half a foot taller than the short blonde with spiky black hair that had a small ponytail at the back. He had fair skin like the rest of his family, black eyes, and a welcoming expression. Wearing a white shiitake, black hakama, and tabi socks, he was essentially the one person in the room who seemed even remotely happy to see them. Ah, I'm surprised they sent you, Minato Uzumaki, Naobito said as the doors behind the two closed. Knowing that rambunctious brat, I expected Satoru to follow along. We're well aware that's a bad idea, Minato said with a smile, he and Naruto coming over before sitting in front of the 5. Satoru-kun is young and a bit brash. He needs time to become the man he's meant to be. Curious. You, blonde boy, Junichi spoke up without a single breath passing. What is the truth of the matter between you and Toji? He asked without preamble. The boy sitting directly next to Naobito's eyes widened. What? In time, Naaya, let your cousin speak, Naobito said as he smirked. The young man, Naaya, had his eyes narrowing before they landed on Naruto. This kid, what did he have to do with Toji? What had happened? I don't follow, Naruto said in confusion. Wait, he's that guy who cut me down, yeah? HMPH, that failure couldn't even do that right, Junichi said as Naruto's mental eyebrow ticked. Yes, that man. What is it? Did he not hit your vitals properly? I don't you guys probably heard this already, but I was barely alive. I'm pretty sure I passed on for a bit there. It wouldn't be impossible. So, what exactly did you call me for, Naobito Jiji? Naruto asked without issue, Naobito laughing as Naaya stared at the boy in confusion. Ogi grimaced. Well, I heard you were friendly but a Jiji out the gate. That's quite bold of you. Naobito smirked as Naruto grinned without remorse. HMPH, curious, perhaps this won't be uninteresting. First things first. What do you say to a spar between you and Rantaboya here? He gestured to the boy next to Junichi. Good morning, Ranta declared with a puffed-out chest and a bright grin. I am Ranta Zenin. My cousin wished for me to learn what true combat is, not to offend, but you are 5 years my junior. I'm not sure if such a match would be noteworthy, the boy began before wearing an uncomfortable look. Look, Ranta, I have no problem sparring with you. No offense, but I've already fought and beat people bigger and stronger than you before, Naruto said without remorse as the older boy perked up. Really? How? I was giving some amazing shikigami by Yuta ni and Yaga bro. Noticing the boy's look of confusion, Naruto chuckled nervously. Oh, Yutaheim and Yaga Masamichi. Really? The other boy looked intrigued. Are you their student? Mostly Yutaheim ni-chans, but I've sparred with Yaga bro's cursed puppets before. Ranta looked pensive, considering his words. Then, if you would, please have a spar with me at a determined date, the boy grinned. I believe this might be interesting. Are you primarily a shikigami user? Nope, I also practice hand-to-hand with my cuz, Yaga bro's puppets, and even my dad sometimes, Naruto nodded sagely. Ah, yes, you're a sorcerer, Minato-kun, Naobito said with a raised brow. I am. My wife brought with our marriage more interesting things than I could imagine, the former Hokage said. That said, jujutsu has been rather fascinating to me, and my own cursed technique brought with it more odd ideas. Naoya frowned while crossing his arms. We didn't ask about that. You're a known quantity, the young man frowned as Naobito snorted. Aren't you supposed to be polite? Naruto asked him without missing a step, Naoya's eyebrows furrowing. Besides, I don't think anyone asked for your opinion, he told him with a frown. I'd say the same. I'm sorry, what kind of host are you again? Naoya's hackles raised a bit. This insolent little insect. His eyebrow twitched as Junichi smirked a bit while Ogi huffed. Boy, don't waste our time, the second oldest in the room frowned. We're the hosts, as you said. Don't disrespect the hospitality brought to you. You're not wrong, Ogi-san, Minato said. As one father to another, you're not wrong to imply politeness and kindness, but Naruto is correct. What Naoya-kun said can be construed in a number of ways that aren't hospitality-driven. Naoya and Ogi felt their eyebrows twitching at the man's logic, Naobito snickering a bit at that. I'd enjoy the show you'd all bring, but this is about my talk with the boy, right? He asked with a smirk. Junichi got his student his fight to be, now is my time. Apologies, father, Naoya said, but inside, he was seething. These insubordinate plebeians, it made his blood boil to have such words thrown at him. His eyes went to Naruto. Locked gazes with Naruto, the boy's single visible eye staring back at him without a hint of fear or reverence. How infuriating. HMPH, apologies, Naobito, Ogi grimaced. Annoying, all of them, it never failed to make him despise those in the room. Minato Uzumaki seemed to so easily add himself to that criteria, and yet his boy bothered Ogi on a fundamental level. The boy gaining attention he didn't rightfully deserve because of those ridiculous claims made Ogi furious. Apologies, Naobito-san, Minato said with a sheepish smile. Things might have gotten off track. I can see, but it was of little importance. I can tell wrongdoing from my own clan with but a gaze. Naoya and Ogi grimaced while the old man grinned. Now, I do have words for your boy. Satoru Gojo and Geto Suguru have had a lot to say about him, Minato-kun. It's quite curious. Ask away. Minato deferred the questions to his son who nodded. What's on your mind, Naobito Jiji? Naruto asked as the old man hummed. You seem to grasp a lot of our tradition and older motives, so I'd ask, what do you believe is the change you want to subject us to? The old man asked as Naoya frowned. I think that, right now, we've got a good foundation, Naruto said with a nod. But that's it. A foundation's great, but you have to build on it. Like with what happened to Rico, why did they think it'd be a good idea to just throw a teenage girl into what is basically a dungeon and act like it'd be a good idea? Oh, you'd know, then, that this has happened a few times before. Those who became Tengen Salma's vessel have never altered our course. But those people were actual individuals who knew what they'd be getting into. Rico, at the time when she was chosen, only knew for, what, a couple days? She was being strong about it, but she had nothing but fear after getting to Jujutsu High, and that wasn't even after she'd gotten attacked. It'd matter little, Junichi added with a huff. She and Master Tenjin would become one. His own feelings on the matter would usurp her sentimentalities. "And you think that's fine?" Naruto asked him without missing a beat. "I'd ask everyone I know what they became a sorcerer for and what a sorcerer does. Because, last I checked, we're jujutsu sorcerers because the normal people of the world can't handle all of this. Curses, tenjin, enemy organizations, cursed techniques, and big families? The world would fall to chaos due to people with unusual techniques that might very well be put in danger because they have them." His eye narrowed as Junichi locked gaze. "We keep things to a minimum because it's for them, right?" There was silence for a moment, Naobito humming at Naruto's words as Junichi's eyes closed in thought. "And you'd have us let Tenjin-sama fall to his cursed nature?" Ogi had to break this silence. The boy was garnering too much respect, no matter how small, from the two other men. It'd be madness to let his words ring for as long as they did. "Instead of just letting it happen," Naruto shot back as the man growled. "Instead of literally just sacrificing someone else, why not, I don't know, try something different?" "Things have been this way because this is how they have become," Junichi said. "Is that enough for you?" "You say that, but then let me ask this," Naruto countered. "When was the last time anyone tried to help Tenjin without trying to merge him?" There was more silence as Naobito's hums grew louder. "You believe we've not tried enough?" the man asked openly. "Yes." Well, color him impressed. A brave fool with conviction in his ambitions. Naobito hadn't met such a person with those qualities in a long time, especially not in one so young. Naya's cheek twitched. "Amongst all else, things have changed like I said at the meeting with the superiors." Naya choked in disbelief while Oga's fists clenched. "Do you guys honestly not want to try again? Really? Was giving up really your best idea?" Junichi frowned at that. "Tenjin-sama's situation isn't normal even amongst the jujutsu world, Uzumaki." "You're right, but neither is Aniki," Naruto said. "Neither am I. Neither are people who are born with heavenly restrictions, something that didn't happen like it did in the early days of jujutsu, right? Things have changed. There has to be more methods to try to help the world while not trying to sacrifice the people in it. That's what I believe amongst all else. The moment you give up, that's it. You're basically leaving him alone to his fate. I'd even bet Tenjin Ajaji was lonely down there. I think that might also be another reason he might want these mergers. Because he can experience the world outside that he can't outside of just his senses." Ogi frowned. "Feeling the sun? Going to meet other people? Family? With how long he's been down there, I'd bet he has no idea what those things are even like anymore." Naobito closed his eyes with a shrug. "Perhaps. He needs more than just to be renewed. He needs people just like any one of us." Minato smiled at that, staying silent as his son reaffirmed who he was and how he viewed their world. "I see, this is what that Geto boy meant," Naobito said with another shrug. "Honestly, these next generations truly are filled with odd children like my son," he smirked as Naruto chuckled a bit. "I'll give your words some thought, no promises, but it'll be interesting thinking of counterarguments." Naruto's sweat dropped. "Whatever, old man, I'll argue with you any day of the week." "Ha ha," the Zenin head grinned. "I like you. Boy, you've got fire. These ought to be a curious last couple of decades on this earth. Now, as for other things, tell me more. Can you respond?" The man vanished, but he hadn't left the blonde's sights. "To thigh him?" Naobito's face appeared behind them only to find the two staring at him, both blondes. "Oh, that's interesting." Oga's eyes snapped open while Junichi's narrowed in interest. Naya's eyes narrowed while Ranta gasped. "You can see Zenin-sama?" he asked Naruto in shock. Could he really follow him? Naobito cupped his chin with a smirk. The two blondes' heads snapped to the side where he reappeared before going to Naya where Naobito laughed, his son grimacing as he barely kept up, as he trailed behind a child in reacting to his father. His fists trembled. "And you, Minato-kun, I didn't expect it," Naobito smirked. "You wouldn't happen to be a true combatant, would you?" Minato smiled. "I might be if you're asking for the truth." "Yes, I'd like to know." "We could designate a day if you wish." Naobito Zenin looked excited while Ranta was simply floored and awed. "Cousin, will our fight be fair?" Ranta asked Junichi, who smirked like his uncle. "No, we'll have to see. Will you prevail?" Or will the GOJO boys' senses overtake you? These are the battles you must face, Ranta. They will make you stronger, Junichi said with a gleam in his eyes. But now I'm interested in the boy's father. No mere mortal can just react to Naobito's speed, much less a not trained one. But isn't he trained? I'm sure he is. Ogi and Naaya grimaced in their minds. Of course, a GOJO would cause such a disturbance in my family, they thought with narrowed eyes that landed on the young blonde. He's a problem. They needed to figure this situation out and untangle it lest it taint their clan. The quintet of Naruto, Naobito, Minato, Ranta, and Junichi spoke at length for possibly an hour before things calmed down. Enough for Naobito to invite them for brunch. Naaya and Ogi were utterly flabbergasted. Naruto smiled a bit as he sat on a meditating stone that was held within the Zenin estate, his father speaking with Naobito about his ideas and understanding of cursed energy. I'm glad this worked out, he said to himself and the toad Shikigami. Honestly, this went way better than I expected. Huh? Came a voice from behind him, confusing the blonde before he turned around to find a familiar sight. Why, you survived. Maki, right? Naruto asked her, turning around to face the girl who'd shot him a pout. No, wait, you're not Maki. She didn't feel the exact same. With how much he'd used his sensory skill throughout his lifetimes, Naruto had become pretty good at sorting through signatures and presences. This girl before him, even if she looked and felt like that Maki gal, wasn't Maki. She perked back up in surprise. Huh? You can tell? The girl asked in shock and a little bit of excitement. Hee. Naruto was just confused. There's no way this is heading where I think it is, Satoru said as Kushina, Mei, and Yutaheim chattered excitedly about the little meeting. Geto, back me up here. I mean, Kushina-sen did kinda jinx us with that marriage comment, the cursed spirit user said with a shaky grin as Shoko rolled her eyes. Riko was just in disbelief. How in the world is this kid doing it? She asked the three who shrugged. Naruto blinked as the girl grinned slyly at him. What's happening now? He wondered with a squinty-eyed expression. The girl's eyes widened at the sight, scrambling up onto the rock to stare at his foxy looks. You're so foxy, she giggled as he blinked before pouting. And yes, it did make him look more foxy. Yeah, well thanks, he said awkwardly. So, you're not Maki, what's your name? Mai, the girl, Mai, said with a grin. Maki's my twin sister. I'm figuring that out right now. What were you guys called here for? Mai asked right out the gates as he blinked. Zenin-sama doesn't usually call guests over that aren't, she leaned in while looking around. Old. Naruto snorted before laughing at that. Oh, I can bet. God, I really do think old people like talking to old people. I can never figure out why, but I think it has to do with telekinesis, she grinned slyly at that. They always have candy. Never stop trying to pinch your cheeks. They like old picture shows. I think I caught one of the old GOJO guys trying to dance at one point. They snickered at the examples they had to share. Welp, that kid's never living this down. Talk about digging your own grave. Shoko sweat dropped at Geto and Satoru while the older members squealed. Riko-chan. Yep, they're being boys. Huh, Mai kicked her legs back and forth over the edge of the meditation stone. Why, you're like Maki. Huh? Naruto blinked before remembering something. Wait, didn't they say that Ogi dude complained about having defective children? He wanted to groan, but Mai wasn't deserving of that. Oh yeah? Why yeah, she doesn't have cursed energy and stuff, Mai pouted. I guess people don't treat her nice, huh? No, and I do, but Mai grimaced and Naruto frowned. It's no good. What? What is it? Naruto asked, curious. Mai blushed before holding out her hands only to flinch. I can't do it. I'd be so stupid and dumb and... You're not any of those things. Naruto didn't like the picture that was forming and changed topics. How about you just tell me about it? Mai considered him for a moment, his welcoming smile getting a grumble out of her. Well, I can make things with my cursed energy be, but I can only do it once, she whined. Why? Is there, like, something different about your cursed energy? I don't know. The adults keep saying it's because we're twins. Huh? Why? I mean, I don't get it. How did being twins change anything? Oh, wait, he considered something as she shot him a look of disbelief. You know why? Mai couldn't believe it. She just told him. How could he figure it out? Well, from what I know about the whole twins thing, Naruto began as she nodded rapidly. You guys were originally one baby cell thing that turned into two. Mai's eyes widened. So, when you put it like that, it's like your souls and stuff are linked. That might be why. Mai was floored at his words, trying to find the problem with them, but coming back with nothing. Is that true? If that was the case, she understood why the adults called them misfortune. Who? Naruto rubbed the back of his head. Well, I mean, isn't Maki super strong and stuff? She is. So, she can be amazing all on that alone. Don't let some jerks tell you you can't be amazing, he said with a sagely nod as she pouted. He didn't understand. Truly, he was blessed if only because he didn't live in this family. Mai felt green for the first time in her life. And so can you, Naruto added. She perked up in confusion. What? How could he say that? Naruto-kun, I don't get it. How? Duh, Mai-chan, just because your curse technique does that doesn't mean you can't find other ways to improve your skills. Hell, here, see? He summoned Sage, alarming the girl who saw the flexing Oni. How? I thought you so, Maki can. Yep, though, it's different for her, Naruto said, confusing her. How can I put this? Maki seems to still have some cursed energy, but it's no more than a normal person's. My dad was a normal person, but he had above average cursed energy, so when he and my mom were married, he joined in. Your dad wasn't a no-way, right? How? How would a GOJO marry a normal person and not feel angry? Naruto-kun, didn't people hate your dad? Mai asked, gripping her pants leg. Oh, God, they really don't like him, Naruto told her with a frown. But the thing is, they already didn't like me, Mai-chan. So, you can consider it like lumping on two things they didn't dislike. Heck, my mom, me, and Pops moved because those old goats were really pressuring her and Aniki. He tapped his bandage-covered eye. They're the main reason I cover this bad boy while I'm here. I thought you got hurt. Nope, just covered. My left eye's like Satoru's, but I don't have the 6 eyes and, trust me, they ain't happy about that. Mai kind of understood him. He did get it then, right? About how the expectations of those in the family made your life hell. But that wasn't true, not fully. His parents still loved him, his cousin did as well, Naruto's amazing cousin. She pouted a bit before being broken out of her painful place, again, by him. This bright-haired boy. Back on your technique, Mai-chan, he said seriously with a smirk as she blinked. So, like, the things you make, are they there forever? What? No, of course not. That would have been useful. Mai's life wasn't so convenient. Okay, next idea. She stared at him in confusion. Even though that one would have been the best? What do you mean? Naruto blinked before smiling. Let me tell you something I literally just told Naobito Ajiji, despite herself, Mai giggled. Yep. So, I told him this when it came to Tenjin, you know that dude? You met him? Mai gasped as Naruto grinned shakily. I met his next vessel, he clarified. Anyway, I was talking to him about what I thought about it. He went on to reiterate his words, thoughts, and feelings about the situation to the girl who covered her mouth in shock. Uncle just listened. That sounded impossible. What did you do? She wondered even as she considered Naruto's words. How special are you really that Zenin-sama listened to you? How blessed. Something had to be special about Naruto for Naobito to listen to him, surely. So, like I told him, you can't just stop trying if you really want to help someone, Naruto said with a frown and closed eyes. Keep trying, learn stuff, go try things out. While I'll accept that Tenjin might have had it rough in the past, nowadays, things are different and full of new ideas and abilities. I'm sure there's a way to help him so, like that. I'm sure there's a way to give you more ideas. Mai covered her mouth with her sleeves. Naruto-kun? Yeah. I don't want to be a sorcerer. Oh, Naruto rubbed the back of his head as she scrunched inward a bit. No, seriously, that's fine. I guess I just got carried away. Mai couldn't believe he'd still give her the time of day if she deflected his help. Probably not so cool, huh? There's nothing wrong with wanting to live a normal life. It's not my job to control your life. No one can control your life except you. People help shape who we are, but, in the end, when the chips are down, Only you can choose how your life you just go along with something or fight against it. I want to become a special grade sorcerer, no, something bigger than that, Naruto said with a determined gaze as Mai's eyes widened at him. But that's the greatest title a sorcerer can have, even among being clan head. Being a special grade meant so much more than even that. It was a nearly impossible utopia that most sorcerers couldn't imagine. Yup, and I'm gonna train like nobody's business to be that and more, he said simply. Now she understood. The boy before her was clearly insane, like Maki. Mai looked down and thought, well, I guess it'd be nice for you to talk with Maki. She wants to be a sorcerer. There's nothing wrong with you being a sorcerer. Come on, being normal ain't too bad. I'm just a weirdo. All special grades are, I'd bet. Really? Oh, definitely. I'm sure my cuz and his friend could be special grades, and they're the biggest weirdos I know. Oi! Geto and Satoru balked as Shoko laughed. Kushina smirked as Satoru held his heart, looking the most offended. That brat. I all of a sudden feel like I just got in trouble. Naruto sweat dropped as Mai tilted her head. Ah, it was probably nothing important. The yell of indignation that rocked the universe simply didn't reach the blonde. Mai just raised a brow. Still, Naruto-kun, that's gonna be dangerous. Mai couldn't imagine what it took to become even a grade 1 sorcerer, much less a special grade. How would you even do it? So, I got something but we can't say it yet, Naruto whispered seriously as her eyes widened. Yep, I can't tell ya, nobody yet, but once I'm good enough, it'll be out. Is it a cursed tool? Nope, but I do have one of those, he gestured to the item on his waist. I got it from my belated master. Mai winced as Naruto nodded with a solemn smile. I don't know anyone who died, and it's not like she'd feel much for most of those people. What about before that? Well, duh, training. He raised his wrists before showing his ankles. These are weights. My master had me originally use some of his own kind before he passed. I recently got heavier ones, but I think they're defective. They don't really feel like much. Mai just observed him. I'm sure Maki would like some of those, she said with a blush. Sure, she could have some of my old set. Wow, Mei sweat dropped as Kushina grinned nervously and Yutaheim shook her head. Is he that easy? Hey, hold on, Naruto-kun is just clueless, the boy's mother declared. I guess, Yutaheim began to say before shaking her head once more. That boy needs help if he's ever gonna find a wife. Satoru was just contemplative. Those weights work, he knew that much. So, how strong did he really become after gaining his positive energy? Mai just fiddled with her fingers some more as the two of them sat on the meditation stone. So, what do you want to do, Mai-chan? Naruto asked her with a curious look. Mai just looked at him with interest, brown eyes landing on his sole visible eye, and how it seemed so nice. How nice he was compared to her family members. How different he was compared to what she knew sorcerers to be. How he was nearly exactly like Maki, but seemed so much more lighthearted, she thinks. Naruto just seemed nice and light for lack of a better word. Well, Mai burned up. I don't know yet, she lied, face colored red. I can't just say that to a boy I just met. That'd be the worst thing to do. Well, I'm sure you can find something. I know if I didn't want to be a sorcerer, I'd just be a martial artist, Naruto said, surprising her a bit. You've thought about not being a sorcerer? Yeah, I've thought about it. Especially because, well, it's not like there are back-to-back missions. One of our students literally just came back from a mission she was on for a month before she was supposed to be on vacation. A female sorcerer, Mai was surprised. Women weren't necessarily treated well in Jujutsu society due to old tradition of them being housewives and maids. It was painful at times, but Mai also didn't want to be a sorcerer, and, if honestly asked, she did like to cook. Though, Mai wondered if she couldn't make more handsy food someday. Yep, I know quite a few, actually. Is your mom one? Kinda. Kushina sweat dropped. To be fair, I haven't gone on a mission in years, so I'm less of a jujutsu sorcerer and more of a researcher. That honestly sounds interesting, Shoko said, tapping her chin in thought. The thing is, I feel like that should totally be something we should have, like a jujutsu R&D. Riko crossed her arms in thought. Does something like that exist, sensei? she asked Yutaheim before sweat dropping at the woman's soft snores. Yeah, she really needs some sleep. Moments later, the two were walking around the lake, Naruto having Sage walk around with them. You can come out now. God, if you're just gonna keep on stalking me, I'd like to know why, Naruto said as they stopped walking, Mai shooting him a confused look. Let me see, you're that Naaya guy. There was a huff before someone appeared over the large stone outcropping that surrounded the area they were in. Naaya Zenin's eyes narrowed as Mai hid behind Naruto. HMPH, I'd assume your senses likely have been increased, he said with a conflicted look. He's like Toji, well, not sporting the man's ridiculous strength, but Naruto was just a child. There was a high chance he'd gain such strength as he grew up. Most likely, Naruto said. So, what's up? You've been following us since we were on the stone. I guess you've got something to say? The guy rubbed the blonde the wrong way for a large number of reasons. Naaya frowned before his arms crossed. He observed the boy before looking at Mai, the girl shying behind the blonde. It'd be a slight against my clan, allowing this little thing to bud wouldn't do them any good, but he was like Toji. I'm simply here to see what your claims to strength are. Not lying, odd. Well, how? There are some members who have Shikigami that can contend with a grade 3 cursed spirit. I'd like to call one of them here if only to observe your current skill set. All right, Naruto grinned and Naaya nodded, raising his fingers to his mouth to whistle a sharp screech. Mai-chan, you're gonna have to stay by Sage, he whispered to the girl who stared at him in shock. All right. Naruto blinked at another one of those guards that appeared, the man speaking to Naaya in hushed tones before he threw out his hands. A trio of Shikigami, a two-headed dog, a crow, and a floating umbrella, appeared moments later, the blonde's senses raised. He was telling the truth the whole way. These Shikigami weren't all that impressive, but the blonde couldn't take them for granted. With Sage standing by Mai behind him, the blonde considered taking off his weights before thinking otherwise, removing Ryu Bang off his back and allowing the weapon to extend to half his size. Naaya was surprised. That was a cursed tool, he said with a frown, leaning forward a bit while staring at it. It doesn't seem familiar, perhaps it was an unknown kind. The boy had said this master of his had gifted it to him, hadn't he? Or was there another tool? The blonde held it aloft in one hand with a nod. So, which one am I fighting? Each of the Shikigami are, in a way, an internal grade within grade 3, the man who'd summoned them said. The umbrella one is the weakest of the three. So, the dog's the strongest? Yes. Give me the dog, Naruto said as he felt that particular Shikigami's cursed energy. It's the closest to grade 2, he'd get some kind of idea on his level. Very well, the man returned the other two Shikigami before stepping back, kneeling, and lowering his head. Naaya-sama. HMPH, Naaya smirked a bit at Naruto's confidence. Okay, he is a bit more like him than I expected. What a nice surprise. If only Maki could do the opposite, life would be grand. This match will end when either one side is destroyed, Naaya said. The other can't continue. There's no time limit, and I shall decide when enough is enough, Naruto-san. All right, Naruto nodded at that, crouching low to the ground with his weapon held behind him. It's probably decently fast, he'd have to prepare his body. Then let the match, Naaya said before raising his arm. It dropped. Begin. The first thing Naruto did was rush the Shikigami. He's decently fast for his age, Naaya noted as the two-headed dog charged seconds after the boy did. And the Shikigami started second. The canine's form met the blonde's and they crashed together, no. Naruto's hand slammed out into the Shikigami's head, halting its charge with a grunt. His feet dug into the ground for a moment before the bottom of his staff slammed into the two-headed animal's neck, jostling it. He pushed the stunned Shikigami back and up before aiming his Tanbo-sized staff. Yah! The stab slammed into the spirit's chest before sending it flying back to hit the stone barrier, the creature bouncing off it before hitting the ground. Naaya clapped a bit at that, smirking as the Shikigami got up on its shaky paws. I see, the boy's strength wasn't small. A grade 3 curse could easily overcome an adult male, much more so a physically fit athlete. And the boy manhandled it, somewhat, an amount of strength no child could possibly have. The two-headed dog spirit got up before beginning to stalk the blonde in a circle, the boy watching it all the while until it went behind him. Naruto's ears twitched as it came to a stop. He sidestepped the lunge at his back before tilting out the way of the cursed spirit's follow-up slash with its claws. The two-headed canine's attack tearing up the ground. They continued to play that game of cat and mouse. Naruto's eyes closed the entire time. So, this is a grade 3. It really didn't feel that complicated, but there might have been more to this than he knew. Naaya, be real with me. The boy's palm found the Shikigami's throat before bringing it to the ground, flat on its back. How strong is a cursed spirit grade 3 to grade 2? Because this honestly doesn't feel that hard. Mai was just shocked as she held onto Sage's shoulder in a piggyback fashion. He beat it so easily, Maki couldn't do that. Was this really the difference between a boy and girl? They are usually 1-to-1 but not always. Alcon isn't exactly great at replicating their pure strength, Naaya said matter-of-factly, the man who'd summoned the Shikigami not disagreeing in the slightest. So, these might only be that powerful in cursed energy, not so much physical might. Naruto nodded to that. Well, this fight's basically over, he told the son of Naobito who hummed. It'd be for the best to exercise it. Naruto sighed. And his weapon jammed its way through the Shikigami's chest, hitting its core somewhat. The dog vanished, his summoner sighing a bit. Sorry, dude, he apologized to the man. All right, that was interesting, the blonde said before two figures landed by the group. Impressive, Naobito said as he and Minato observed the latter's son. A grade 3 Shikigami, though not as perfect in the hands of Ao, is still a decent feat, boy. Minato just smiled. My son's determined, trust me, he's going to be a big deal one of these days. We shall see, huh? Mai watched as the two blondes left alongside her uncle and cousin. That boy's quite something, Naobito said with a gleam in his eye as he shot a look at the staring into the distance Mai. There's no way that'd work, while he might not care, the rest of the clan would. Whatever happened in her case, it wasn't his business. Naaya was more intrigued by Naruto's possibilities. He's only 7, I don't know what Toji-kun was like by his age, he'd have to check. Mai just felt like the world grew a bit colder as she watched Naruto go. See, come back soon, she said in her head as the boy and his father disappeared. Naruto-kun. They returned to the Jujutsu High campus quickly enough, Naruto's thoughts on the Zenin clan apparent. I seriously hope they take my words to heart, he said. I can't make a promise that they did, Minato admitted, ruffling his son's head of hair. But your words weren't wrong. I've considered Tenjin-sama's situation a couple times with Kushina before. Nothing like solutions, but I've observed it. Oh yeah? What do you think? I think his position, while important, is dangerous, Naruto blinked before nodding after a couple seconds. The very fact Tenjin-sama needs a merger is already concerning. Satoru-kun was born with both powers of your clan as well, and now there's you, Naruto. I don't know, but I believe that the future's a bit worrying. Naruto understood what he meant. Well, all we can do is become as great as can be. I know I'll do my best, Dad. I know, you're special in more ways than one. They opened the door to the dormitories where Naruto was besieged by most of their female compatriots. What happened? Mei asked him with a star in her eye, Naruto beginning to sweat. And nothing. Oh, Naruto-kun, Shoko chuckled from beside a smirking Satoru and chuckling Geto. You're so clueless sometimes. Yeah, Naruto admitted. 1 year later. Geto rubbed his hair out of his face, cleaning off in the showers. They're progressing well, he thought about his students with a sort of somber smile. Naruto, Megumi, and even the not really into it Tsumaki were growing well into the arts of jujutsu they'd chosen to partake in. With the girl only really caring about normal life, but albeit bonding with her brother, Tsumaki hadn't done much in the arts, but did understand them. Almost beyond well. With no curse technique in her name, Tsumaki still commanded an amazing knowledge of their side to help her brother and Naruto. The girl even went as far as to accept working in talismans to make charms that'd give the two protection. In that regard, who else but Minato to handle her studies? And that spoke well, as Tsumaki seemed well versed in being able to cast curtains, barrier talismans, and Shikigami. her lacking aggressive nature possibly being some form of foreshadowing to these skills. She's only a child, and yet she's so bright, he chuckled a bit. Megumi, meanwhile, had been applying his body, mind, and energy to training with divine dogs to the utmost. Naruto suggesting something that'd help the boy immensely even with that. The two would practice fake exorcisms, as in, Megumi would summon his future Shikigami to tame, and the two would fight them so. Even if the ritual would be null and void due to another's involvement, Megumi could gain some manner of insight on the creatures and their requirements. It was downright ingenious and had no lack of praise thrown Naruto's way. The fact remained, though, the two wished to get strong in the meantime to face such a challenge. And last but certainly not least, was their little positive boy, Naruto Uzumaki. Being honest, Naruto's positive energy control hadn't really become a thing yet, the boy doing simple things like physical training, studying much to his chagrin, applying sage well, and learning from Yaga. Yes, that wasn't to be understated. It'd be a secret that likely went to the two's graves, but Yaga had deemed the blonde worthy of learning his secrets, at least the big one, corpse puppet creation. It had been something Yaga only told him, Satoru, Shoko, and Naruto. This was a secret that not one of the five would reveal, and they'd all been willing to accept a binding vow. The way Yaga's face had contorted on that fact, Geto doesn't think he'd ever seen such a look of relaxation. The man had probably been carrying on this weight for a long time. It made Naruto's efforts so fantastical because, in this 1 year, he'd made one. The blonde had made another Shikigami corpse puppet for himself. He's the one with the most ridiculous nature, Geto thought, turning off the shower. Satoru's growing as well. His friend's ability to auto-reflect items on a danger scale had provided no end to his own genius and was one of the reasons he'd become a special grade. Geto himself had been given the title due to the sheer number of curses at his disposal and his ability to manipulate them. So, why do I feel like this? With their new titles, he and Satoru had begun taking solo missions. Exercise, consume, swallow. How many times had he done that in the past year alone? Geto wasn't sure. That disgusting sensation of an old rag filled with vomit made him, even now, want to hurl, and then the monkeys. Those filthy non-sorcerers, he couldn't, his own words from a year or so back made him feel an intense amount of shame, guilt, and self-hatred. What was wrong with him? He found himself sitting in a small outpost of Jujutsu High, an area where a road of sorts led down the mountain and towards normal civilization. Wearing a white shirt and black pants with sandals, Geto leaned back on a bench, his hair out of its usual neat bun. What's going to happen to me? He didn't know, or even a hint of the answer. I'm not. Geto's eyes closed. He thought about those three, the ones who seemed to understand him in ways that made life somehow feel a bit more worth living. Satoru. Shoko. Naruto. The three had somehow kept him sane, the first and third the most. My life's gotten weird, he chuckled humorlessly. I've let a child teach me wisdom that I might have sorely needed. Senpai? Came a voice from one of the entrances, Geto blinking as he turned his head to see a grinning young man. Senpai. Geto smiled a bit at another change that had taken place recently. He'd begun to mentor this young man, a second year at Jujutsu High, who'd been a help with another first year, Kento Nanami, for their big mission with Riko. He was tall with fair skin, big black eyes, and a slightly glossy black bowl-cut haircut. Wearing a pair of dress shoes, black slacks, a white shirt, and an open black jacket, he walked over with a big grin that had Geto smiling a bit. Afternoon, Geto-senpai. Habara, how was your last mission? Geto asked him. Oh, it went well, though, it was a week ago, sir. The thing is, I've got another mission coming up tomorrow. Geto was surprised before remembering what time of the year it was and smirked. Oh, Habara chuckled in embarrassment. It's almost time to be promoted, grade 2 sorcerer to be you, Habara. The younger man blushed but looked excited by the idea. I hope so, he grinned again and Geto chuckled. It's supposed to be a faraway assignment. Apparently it's due to some religious area. Geto's eyes widened for a moment before he swallowed his horror. Why, yeah. Did the superiors say anything weird about it? Nope, the older student sighed in relief. It's apparently a grade 2 cursed spirit that's been eating followers of the area. They seem to think that the two of us should be enough since me and Kento are semi-grade 2s. It shouldn't be too hard then. Nanami-kun's been getting more precise, and you have been learning how to apply your reinforcement better. The cursed spirit user wore a relieved smile. You'll be great, Geto's eyes lowered a bit. But don't be too gung-ho, alright? Yes, sir though, Geto-senpai, I've been meaning to ask, are you alright? I sometimes get tired of it, you know, Geto admitted. Are you tired of being a sorcerer, Habara-kun? Habara blinked at him, Geto rubbing the back of his head, before he grinned. The way I see it is that if I can give my all in every way that I can, it'll be a great feeling no matter what, Habara said with a thumbs up and incredible smile. Geto snorted. Of course, what else did I expect? He smirked before sitting up. And you can come out now. You've been listening in, I bet you've been waiting for your perfect chance to cut in? Well, I guess you're special grade for a reason, a woman said as she strutted on in before hitting a pose. Tell me, Geto-kun, Habara-kun, what kind of women do you like? Silence reigned supreme as Geto's eyebrow twitched in disbelief. I like girls with healthy appetites, Habara answered as Geto stumbled in disbelief. Habara? She doesn't seem like a bad person, the younger male said. I mean, I'd say I'm an amazing judge of character. Geto's eyebrow rose at that, a sardonic smile forming on his face. Present company included? Of course. The odd woman who'd arrived laughed as Geto rolled his eyes before patting his student on the back. All right, I guess she wanted to talk to me, Habara-kun, Geto told his fellow student who nodded, getting up and bowing to the two. Have a nice talk, he told them before hurrying off. I've got a bag to pack. He's a good kid, the woman declared, allowing Geto to give her his full attention. Name's Yuki Tsukumo, one of us 3 special grade sorcerers, she grinned with a wink. She was tall, even if she was wearing light tan platform boots, with tight white jeans, a sleeveless black turtleneck, and a black biker jacket thrown over her shoulder by one hand. Her complexion was white and her eyes blue, her light-colored hair long and parting by her forehead to give her a pair of asymmetrical bangs on the sides of her face down to her cheeks. You, Geto realized who she was moments later. You're the what? She grinned smugly. The no-good sorcerer who doesn't take missions. Oi! Jujutsu High Training Field. Naruto had been going through some staff forms with Megumi, the boy using a wooden staff as his own weapon. I think it went like this, Megumi tried. He held his spear firmly before bringing his back foot in towards his forward on and then sliding forward with that leg. The thrust was textbook and a bit shaky, but Naruto was nodding all the while. Yep, he grinned. Divine dogs currently training with Sage a bit away near a sitting Shoko, the now 19-year-old woman reading a medical textbook. You're getting this down, Megu. Thanks, the other boy smiled a bit. Still, I want to know how to use a lot of weapons, he told Naruto, who nodded. We'll ask the others if they're down for some weapons training, Geto bro, Naruto began to say, nodding in determination before blinking as a pair of people came into the clearing. Huh? Who's this? He asked, gaining Shoko's attention. Wait, aren't you Yuki Tsukumo? The doctor to be asked in disbelief as Yuki grinned a bit, Geto rolling his eyes at her reaction. What the heck? Well, I guess since Geto and Satoru are special grades now, I'd bet you guys just wanted to meet. Ooh, a sharp one, Yuki chuckled, looking over the area to find Naruto and Megumi staring at her in matching dark blue hakama and shirts. Hello, boys, she grinned before trotting on over as Shoko got up and followed suit. She reached Geto as Yuki did Naruto and Megumi. Yo, what the hell is going on? Shoko asked him as he rubbed the back of his head. Ideas? There's a concept that Yuki wanted to talk to Naruto about, he explained. She doesn't know about his true powers, but his heavenly restriction is important to her. Shoko raised a brow. With Naruto, the boy raised a brow at the woman with Megumi. You want to study my heavenly restriction? I mean, I don't mind, but how would you even do that? Well, it's more like a long-term observation. If anything, I'd also like to meet your cousin to see if he wouldn't mind helping out, Yuki said with a grin, crouching to the boy's level. Still, it is nice to meet you, golden boy. Yeah, Naruto had begun to say only to freeze. You? What? You need to be careful of the underside of the Jujutsu world, Yuki said as Geto and Shoko flinched. Things for you might be getting troubling, she explained, one eye closed. There are rumors about a certain group on the lookout for the GOJO black sheep. How? Geto grimaced. We checked every single one of their hideouts, destroyed them, and we still couldn't find that leader. Yep, and he's around, Yuki explained with a frown as Naruto followed suit. Your nice big Nichan, right here, has been following them because I thought it was curious, and that led me to a sorcerer who could give divinations. Turns out, that person is now dead. Shoko looked down with an intense look. So, that leads out. Geto cupped his chin. Yuki-san, what exactly did you hear about Naruto? If we know, it'd make our lives easier. So they've begun to make their moves again? The Time Vessel Association. All the gossip is about some big money on his head, Megumi grimaced. They want him badly, and they're paying some serious yen to get him. But, as luck would have it, she smirked, I handled it pretty easily. How? Naruto asked with crossed arms. How could you? Duh, I took it, she said like it was the easiest thing in the world, the boys stumbling in disbelief. You don't seem to know it, but special grade isn't some small thing that is just important inside the school. Huh? Megumi blinked. What do you mean? What did his friend's cousin's title have to do with this? The thing is, the Jujutsu world sees special grade in a big light. It's not wrong to say, having the title of special grade essentially makes you a big-time celebrity and hotshot. With that, I could basically hog the entire quest to myself, but that's where the oddness continues, Yuki frowned. They put a time limit on it. What? Geto stared in disbelief. Yay, but that's all I know. The time limit is 9 years from now, Yuki grimaced. In 2018 on October 31st. Halloween, the significance wasn't lost on anyone there, especially not Geto. One of the many days where cursed spirit manifestation was at an all-time high, right up there with Christmas or, somehow hilariously worse, Valentine's Day. Truly, no sorcerer was more overworked than on the day love was made and viciously broken. Something's going to happen on that day, Yuki told them. I don't think it's wrong to think that way, we just need to figure out what to do when that day comes. Still, what happens after that? Megumi asked. Anaki's bounty will get lifted? He asked hopefully. I don't think they're going to care for secrecy at that point, Geto admitted, sighing at Megumi's downtrodden look. I know, Megumi-kun, but we have to be prepared for the real possibilities. He's right, Megu, Naruto ruffled the similar height boy's head of hair. Besides, we don't know how strong I'll be by that point. And if I'm guessing right, they know something about me will be vital for that day. That's why they want me. They want to keep me to themselves. Megumi blinked, considering his words. For now, I guess we don't have to worry about those guys, the blonde continued. We have to get strong enough to protect our world, as big a scheme as that might sound. HMPH, well, aren't you a planner? Yuki giggled a bit before grinning. All right then, how about this, she offered the group, standing back up. I'm sure Satoru-kun is training you with Geto-kun, but I can offer you a type of training you seem capable of. Shikigami training. Huh? Megumi perked up. What do you mean? The thing is, there are still paths to greatness through the methods we have today, Yuki explained. Shikigami, talismans, cursed energy manipulation, cursed techniques, maximum techniques, and domain expansion, barriers, and more. There are many of us big shots who can handle the pinnacle of some forms of these. I'm not sure where I stand on the Shikigami usage scale, but I'd say I'm pretty good at it. How do we do this? Naruto asked with determination. There's one easy thing you need to do to learn how to make better Shikigami, she whispered to them. I never told the higher-ups because we're on bad terms, but right now, there's a dying tree in Japan that could help you. The Vak tree, a tree of life and shaman spirits that is said to be guarded by the Shikigami of an old shaman. The thing is, well, I don't know where it is. It's said that it used to be the stuff the golden era of Jujutsu used to make their talismans and Shikigami. Geto cupped his chin. But then how would he find it? He asked. Sadly, that's part of his training. He has to find it, but I can give you a hint, she said. Shikigami most attuned to the land are said to be some of the best when it comes to finding natural landmarks of Jujutsu. Right now, you need to. Oh, that's perfect then, Naruto grinned as she stared at him. No, well, I think me and Riko-ni-chan will have to do it since she's harboring Kirama. Huh? Naruto-kun? Shoko blinked at the boy who rubbed the back of his head. What do you mean? Oh, you mean that new one you made? Okay, so, do you guys remember what I told you about how my sensing works? Gito's eyes narrowed in thought. You sense life? His eyes widened as Naruto grinned. Not just life but nature. I can sense trees, animals, the waters, and so on. Well, not all of that so clearly, but I can feel it. My sensory skills were never really jujutsu-based but nature-based, he explained as Yuki's eyebrows shot into her hairline. And my first ever Shikigami, Kurama, could enhance my natural senses. That's what that golden energy was, natural energy. What? Are you implying there's another energy in the world only you can access? Yuki asked him, crouching back to his level. Well, yeah, Naruto said. The thing is, the natural energy of the world is tainted with the cursed energy of every living being. The moment I try to pull it in, I'm essentially pulling in. Cursed energy? Shoko looked confuzzled. And what happens? Nothing, Naruto shrugged as she sweat dropped. I couldn't do anything with it before the thing with the star plasma vessel happened, and trying to do it now is like trying to suck thick syrup through a straw. I feel everything that energy comes from, the emotions, the origin, and who it comes from. Yuki's eyes narrowed in interest. Naruto-kun, I think you are the best one for this job, she grinned wickedly. Perhaps, if you find the tree in time, you'll be able to make a Shikigami on par with the Divine General itself, she chuckled before standing back up. All right, oh goodness, I should really have you meet Tadu-kun, he'd get along well with you, she smirked. Tadu? Megumi asked. He sounds weird, he pouted. Oh, like you'd never believe. The boy's sweat dropped. 1 day later. The following day, with everyone there and Habata and Kento on their mission, the rest of their inner circle was filled in. Yutahime looked shocked, but intrigued along with Yaga and Minato. Kushina hummed curiously with Kuroi and Minato. Mei looked excited by the prospect for worrying reasons. And Satoru, well. The hell, so you're gonna look for a tree? He asked with a flat expression as Naruto shrugged. Naru, it's a tree. Yep, but if it helps when it comes to my Shikigami, I have to at least look into it, Naruto said, considering Yuki's words. Right now, despite how much time she gave us, we now have to worry about Halloween in 9 years. That's far off but way too serious to ignore. It's certainly not good timing, Minato said. Around that time, you'll be 17. Yep. It seems like this might be an odd undertaking, Naruto-kun, Yaga said. If you're going to do that, when? Naruto considered the question with a frown. I don't know, maybe I'll do it a couple years before I'm in Jujutsu High. So, around when you're 13, Tsumiki asked. F14, maybe? She offered. He shrugged. All I know is, right now, I gotta pick this time carefully. Maybe Yuki-ne'll come back and I can see if she has a good idea. For now, more training. It's almost time for me and Megumi to go and learn about his to-be shadows. Megumi nodded, the boy's eyes focused. I think it's time that you two got to taste a bit more of the sorcerer life, Satoru said after some consideration. Honestly, with Haim-chan around, you might want to follow her on a hunt before she's a teacher for the rest of her life. Said woman's eyebrow twitched at his emphasis. And what's that supposed to mean, GOJO? The man looked to be considering his answer. Come on, we both know why. God freaking, the woman's temple throbbed. Ignore him, you're coming with me, Naruto-kun. Satoru pouted, and she didn't look the least bit bothered. Mean. Zenin Estate 1 day later. Naruto hurried over to the Zenin Estate with a grin. This is going to be a far-off mission. He'd need to tell Mai about not being able to be here for a week. Naruto hurried up the steps before finding a familiar pair of girls there. Mai-chan, Maki-chan, the boy greeted with a grin, landing on the step platform with a nod. Naruto-kun, Mai grinned back with a sly look while Maki crossed her arms with a tilt of the head. I thought you'd be here tomorrow? She tilted her head with a smile as he rubbed the back of his head. What? Couldn't wait to see me? She asked teasingly as her sister shot her a look of disbelief that had her giggling. You're not that cute, Naruto said without remorse as her jaw dropped and Maki started laughing. Gotta mind that ego. Lord knows where it's going, he added with a smirk as Mai pouted at him. She stomped over before poking him in the chest constantly, still pouty. Mr. Ma'am. Maki began to wheeze. All right, oh gracious beautiful times 10 goddess Mai, Naruto said dramatically as she blushed before mumbling. I'm just here to tell you guys I won't be here for a week. Huh? Why? She asked as Maki wiped a tear from her eye. Why? She asked with a grin as Mai muttered unpleasant things beneath her breath. Don't be rude now, Maki teased. Naruto chuckled. I'm going on a mission with Utaheim Nichan tomorrow, and it's supposed to be a long-term trip, he said. So, for now, I'm not going to be here early tomorrow morning. Just letting you know. Yeah, well, see, come back safe, she muttered that last bit, confusing the blonde. Huh? Nothing, knucklehead. What are you doing now? She huffed, getting a shaky grin out of the blonde. Nothing, really. I figured I'd fill ya in before I left. All right then, come on, we're playing Ghost Game. The blonde allowed her to pull him along. Anything for a friend. 3 days later. Mai spent the first 3 days of her friend going away just doing her chores and relaxing on the meditation stone. I wonder what he'll fight. Mai didn't want to be a sorcerer, but that didn't mean she wasn't curious. I bet Maki would have wanted to go with him. Every time, it's like you don't get it. Mai flinched, skin dropping in color before she scrambled to her feet before hurrying off. No, oh God, let it not be what she thought it was. She rounded the corner behind the main clan building and froze. No, that's right, God wasn't listening right now. He couldn't be if she was currently seeing her sister being essentially bullied by their cousin. You should remember that you're the woman of the house, Nayaya said with a huff, taking his shoe off Maki's head and walking off. All these pathetic things you're doing, they're going to stop, Maki. Mai flinched as the teen passed her by. You're doing the right thing, Mai, Nayaya said without even looking at her. Don't forget your place. With that, he left, leaving her scrambling over to her sister. Trembling hands reached out for Maki, and her twin sister looked at her with a weak but resolute stare. That bastard, Maki trembled as she pushed herself up to her knees, gasping for breath, face bruised, lip bloody, and eyes full of hate. I'm going. Please stop talking. To kick his ass. Please stop getting hurt. Mai bit her lip as she helped her twin sister to her feet before acting as her crutch, leading her to that familiar clinic of the Zenin estate. Please stop fighting against your fate. An image of a grinning resolute blonde reached her mind and Mai's tears fell silently behind her sister's back. Only those blessed could do that. A day later. Maki grimaced as Ogi stood with his back to her, Mai sitting right beside her with her head down. Every time. Why? You're a woman of the Zenin clan, you know your roles yet you refuse to cease, the man looked angrier than usual. Every time, I let you have these fantasies, these little foolish dreams, and I am made a fool of, Ogi's shoulders tensed. Do not make me lower my head once more, Maki, lest you feel your father's wrath. Maki didn't flinch, her head fell, but it didn't tremble with fear. No, Mai knew more than anyone else that it trembled with disgust, anger, hatred for their own kin. Mai had felt it before, numerous times, seeing her sister like this, beaten down, verbally tossed around, and utterly made to be pacified had done numerous things to the girl's psyche. But then it all fell away, not because of some nonsense like hatred is meaningless, but because it was all meaningless. They'd never get anywhere like this, being defiant, angry, hateful. It wasn't worth the beatings, the words, the pain, and just the shame. Mai knew she'd long since given up on those kinds of things. She'd be a housewife and, hopefully, leave this horrible place. Maki could, too. It's not like their fates aligned with much else. 4 days later. When Naruto returned, Mai had to hold her tongue with a bandage on his cheek and the wrappings around his left bicep. Hee, I went in too deep and got surrounded by some cursed spirits, he'd told her, looking apologetic, like he'd wronged her. It made her angry for reasons Mai hadn't understood at such a young age. She'd left him without a word that day and kept her silence no matter how much it pained her. To do this to her friend, to hold in these feelings about Maki, to see that lost look on his face that likely meant he thought he'd done something wrong. She couldn't deal with it that day. And yet it was the very next day she'd learned that a sorcerer, a young one of Jujutsu High's own, had died. Apparently, he'd been the student of one of her friend's mentors. She hadn't seen Naruto for a couple weeks after that. A month later, the news broke like wildfire. No one could have predicted it. No one could have seen it even being possible, but it happened. One of their very few special grades, Geto Suguru, had taken a human life. No, not one life, but many, over 100 lives. The cause? Unknown. The reason? Unknown. His statements? Unknown. All Mai knew was that, at that very moment, her blonde friend was probably torn up on the inside, but she didn't deserve to see him. She didn't want him angry at her like all the other males in her life. She knew he'd be upset because she was ignoring him for no reason. Her father, cousins, and uncles had been right. She was stupid. She was dumb and pathetic. Mai wallowed in her emotions until the day came to an end. Naruto and Satoru stared at Yaga as he broke the news to them. What? You're joking? Satoru couldn't believe this. This all had to be some kind of sick joke. Naruto wasn't much better, the blonde looking terrified. Was it Habara? Was that it? Had that pushed Geto over the edge? What the fuck happened? Yaga couldn't hold a neutral face, fists clenched, eyes slammed shut, and head down. I don't know any more than you do, he told them, and the younger man flinched, head looking down and away from his teacher's disheartened gaze. I don't know what happened. They'd left Jujutsu High almost a minute later, Naruto and Satoru leaping across rooftops with only the words of Yaga left whispering in their minds. I don't only you two can find out what really happened. I'm no use here. That look on his face made their heart tighten. This had to be solvable. There had to be something that was wrong. Something that forced their friend's hand into killing people. They'd found him in under 4 hours. Naruto-kun, Geto said with a small smile as Naruto shot him a miserable look, the two in a forest. I want to say I'm surprised, I do. You told Satoru the location of the cursed spirit I released but not me, he spoke as the two of them sat on a tree branch. Geto bro, what the hell happened? Naruto had to ask. The killing, the mission. What went wrong when you had to take all of their lives? The older male closed his eyes and thought. They were unnecessary, Naruto-kun. The area was silent as Naruto stared at him in disbelief. What? The world doesn't need all of these non-sorcerers, Geto continued without letting the boy get a word in. These people, they're sickening, they don't know the consequences of their actions. They'll follow things like religion, dreams, and goals even if it causes mayhem in the end. Rico. Bro, this isn't about... That's why the world only needs jujutsu sorcerers, Naruto wheezed at Geto's resolute expression, the man's relaxed look causing a wrench to turn in the blonde's heart. I finally realized that I wasn't prepared to just give my everything to these people. They don't care about the lives that are lost in their wake, they just keep on moving every day. Thinking only about what others are thinking. Speaking like them. Just copying the next human. In the end, Geto said, they're all just monkeys, he grinned brightly and brilliantly. It made Naruto sick that this was his true feelings on the matter. Your family as well? I have more than just non-sorcerer parents. It'd be hypocritical of me to not kill them. So, what did you feel when you did? Naruto asked him, eyes shaded by his bangs, but his gaze locking onto Geto's closed-eyed frown. Did you feel right? Did it all of a sudden feel good to just kill people for no reason? There is a reason. What reason? The area rumbled with a power that couldn't be tapped into, not yet. Not right now, but damn if it wasn't spilling at the seams. Those people didn't need to die. You stained your hands, your very soul, for what? 2 girls' lives, Geto said softly as the boy froze, the man looking up at his expression with a searching look. Tell me, Naruto-kun, if faced with their lives and those people's, would you really be able to choose? Yes. HMPH, I'm sure I knew your answer. Geto sat up and leaned forward, eyes searching the blonde's visible one for something. You believe in the good in people. You don't believe in bloodshed that, in your eyes, is avoidable. You want to right the wrongs without having to go too far? But I can't, he told him with a small, sad smile. Naruto-kun, the world has broken me and I need to fix what's broken. And killing people is going to fix what's broken? Naruto asked him, already standing on the branch they were on. Every innocent man, woman, and child, you're going to kill them. And, tell me, oh so great Geto, what exactly did they do that tells you you should kill them? Nothing at all. It's unfortunate. Naruto's body twinged. They didn't ask for this. Something was holding on by a thread. But it needs to be done. The harsh smack hadn't been unexpected. Hell, Geto's head had barely turned to the side. Even now, he began as Naruto's slowly becoming vertical pupil came into view. You really are one of the kindest people I've ever met. I'm going to stop you, the blonde said with a grimace, hands clawing up before they froze and went limp. I'm going to stop you, so is Anarchy. We'll all stop you. Not because it's just wrong, not because it's to save people. Naruto pointed at Geto's face with an eye that glowed with power untapped. We're going to stop you because we won't let you bloody your hands again. We'll stop you because you don't deserve to fall into darkness alone. God damn it all, we're gonna stop you because we're family, Geto finished for him, the whisper coming from a smiling mouth. I know, I'll go and find Satoru now, I'm sure he's waiting for you to be finished. The raging aura of cursed energy could have been felt by anyone, the origin coming from a roof nearby. I, myself, wished things could have been different, but I would have gone mad, Geto grinned. Unless I have already. He vanished, a shadow shooting overhead and taking the broken man to his friend, likely for one last time as an ally. Up above it all, Satoru found himself at his wit's end. No noise, no people, no distractions could reach the two of them up here at his command, and yet he felt like he was further away from Geto than ever before. Impossible, he answered that last bit of nonsense. A world where only sorcerers live. Are you serious? Don't try to make an impossible thing like that a goal to kill people. Impossible? Geto frowned. I guess this would be your arrogance, Satoru frowned. You and Naruto would be perfectly capable of creating a world in which my ideals would be possible. Naruto's powers, as they grow, will likely change the landscape of the world itself, and then there's you. Are my ideals an impossibility? Or is it simply because I'm not as strong as you? Satoru stared at him, confused. Geto turned away from his friend. You all were like a second family to me, and I know for a fact that Naruto was at the center of all of that, he smiled. Goodbye, Satoru. Whether you kill me now or not is also fate. Satoru's raised hands flinched as Geto got on a familiar manta ray spirit. It went off and into the horizon in a few moments, leaving the greatest sorcerer alive trembling for a bit, Naruto's form landing on the roof moments later. Come on, let's go home. Their return hadn't been quick, the two not wanting to arrive to the confused, if not crestfallen eyes and words so readily. So, they'd instead hit up a hotel for the day and would go back in the morning. Sitting on his bed after a nice shower, Naruto wore a white bathrobe while drying his hair with a towel. This went so badly he didn't want to think about it. He'd failed someone doing the exact same thing Sasuke had, and not only once but twice. Toji and now Geto. What the hell was with his luck this time around? He spends his entire ninja career stopping one friend from being left alone, and now he was in this situation. And Anaki's probably so hurt, Naruto sighed at that, done with his rubbing but letting his towel sit on his head. God, this bullshit got out of hand without us being able to do anything. Yeah, Satoru said as he exited the bathroom in his own bathrobe, a towel around his shoulders and one on his head. Effing, Naru, I want to tell you so much that this isn't what it is but. Anarchy, I know, you're probably taking this the worst of all of us, Naruto said, stopping the man from ripping his own hair out. I don't know what Geto bro's trying to do, this is crazy, he's clearly gone a bit insane because this is insane. He even knows that he's doing it for his own selfish desires, but he's still gonna do it. Satoru grimaced before grumbling as he walked over and sat on the blonde's bedside. This entire thing got so out of hand, he flopped back as Naruto sat cross-legged in the middle of his comforters. What happened? He didn't say anything. He didn't even try to talk to you, and we all know that Geto talks to you when he's feeling philosophical. Naruto nodded to that, frowning. I think it had something to do with Habara, he said softly. Satoru froze, eyes widening before he shot up with a grimace. I didn't, but just that. There's gotta be something else, the boy said with his eyes on his palms. Something happened, I don't know what it is, but there had to be something. Satoru frowned at that, leaning back down. No, it hadn't been then, had it? He shot back up with a pale face, Naruto looking confused. During the summer I thought he was losing weight, but he said it was fine. Ugh. The Gojo clan head slammed his hands into his face before flopping back. That's gotta be it. Wait, what happened that summer? Naruto blinked. I was gone for like half of it. What could have changed? We became special grades, remember? Then, we began to go on solo missions. Naruto frowned before remembering some of his own words from when he spoke to Naobito. Was he lonely? He wondered as Satoru groaned. Sorry, Aniki, but that's all I can think of. I guess going solo wasn't something he liked doing, or maybe, Satoru frowned. Ha, he sighed before just dropping into the bed. Damn it. Naruto agreed. Damn it, indeed. A day later. Entering through the Torii gates of Tokyo Jujutsu High, Naruto spent barely a few minutes walking in before being besieged by a series of individuals. You're the guys from the Zenin estate, Naruto realized as one of the members came forward before brandishing a scroll. He frowned. Satoru and Naruto read the item for a few moments before wearing grimaces. Zenin-sama is looking to meet with you two now. Zenin estate. Watching the two be escorted to the main clan building, Mai froze, looking a bit pale. The look on Naruto's face wasn't one she knew too often. A look of failure and annoyance. The boy didn't look on the verge of tears, but he looked a bit darker than he usually was. What happened? I guess things didn't work out, Maki said with a frown as the two of them watched the Gojo duo enter the main clan building. What in the world is happening? I don't understand. Mai was the same. This all felt like things had taken a steep, sharp turn. Standing before Naobito Zenin, Nayaya Zenin, and Ogi Zenin, Naruto had a feeling this wouldn't be a great conversation. Zenin-san, Satoru spoke first, taking the lead. Don't ruin this for Naruto, that was basically the main goal here. Satoru couldn't fail two people again. It wouldn't end well. Why did you hide the fact that Megumi Fushiguro was on the campus? Naobito asked with not a pleased expression but neither an unhappy one. Just neutral. Likely something that meant he was on the fence. Satoru considered his words. Because he didn't want to be known by the Zenin clan, Naruto answered, sitting down directly in front of the Zenin head. We went to find him after some words from Toji Zenin about his kids being left alone. Not fully true, but it wasn't wrong. Toji had essentially entrusted their safety to him and Satoru. Naruto couldn't say otherwise. Satoru considered his cousin before doing as he had, Naobito's eyes processing the two. Likely the mission didn't end well, not to say he cared, but Naobito wasn't a fool. They were still reeling, likely having to do this conversation wasn't helping them. He couldn't find it in him to give a damn, though. Things were now in an odd space that needed clearing out. You didn't know, I'd suppose, the old man said. Then, you both should know, Megumi Fushiguro was promised to the Zenin clan due to a contract based on his blood. But he's dead, Satoru said without a frown as Nayaya frowned. So, that contract is effectively null and void. You didn't pay him, obviously, and his kids aren't exactly aware of this contract. Ogi and Nayaya didn't look bothered, the two seeming rather apathetic to this news. It's Toji's son, Nayaya didn't know how to feel. On one hand, this boy was simply unimportant, not like he'd be more than, if he was strong enough, a high member. Still, this was Toji's son and Nayaya felt obligated to ensure the boy lived long enough to attempt to live up to his father's power. The boy's worthless, Ogi thought with a huff. Their words aren't wrong, Naobito-sama. Naobito considered it, but there was something there. Has the boy's curse technique manifested? Naruto and Satoru's expressions were unreadable as they looked at one another. Yes, they said in unison, back straight. It has. An energy filled the room, one that alarmed Nayaya and Ogi. Naobito closed his eyes and crossed his arms. You know for sure what it is, don't you? Yeah, we do, Satoru said. What is it? Nayaya asked. Why are you hesitant? He asked his father with a frown. If it's what I think it is, Naobito's eyes opened. You two will probably be unwilling to part with Megumi Shounen. Megumi, he doesn't care. You know what I mean, Naruto said. He knows the entire deal of our big three. He just wants to make his sister, Sumiki-chan, happy. That girl, Ogi frowned. Why would she be so important to this? She'd be blessed to work in the Zenin clan. The look Naruto shot him, the look of disappointment, had Ogi grimacing. That, for sure, is gonna be a big no from him. That attitude? Megumi would sooner kill himself than try to follow it. Ogi's face contorted in anger that Naruto didn't care about. That visible eye of his shot the father of two a look that'd deny any argument. No offense, Gigi, but even if we were to just tell him to go, he'd never do it, Naruto said with a steely gaze. He's not gonna want a damn thing to do with your family if this is how it is. Naobito hummed as Ogi grimaced while Nayaya frowned. That's not for you to decide, Naruto-kun, the second youngest in the room said. You're probably right, but at the same time, Megumi had no choice in the contract in the first place. The boy deserves to choose the life he wants, Satoru said as Nayaya wore a conflicted expression. Besides, he's still going to be a sorcerer. We're training him. That's how we learned of this betrayal, Ogi said as Naobito hummed. It should have been told to us that the Fushiguro child was on the premises. And then we just have this conversation, but with an uncomfortable Megumi in the mix, Naruto said. HMPH, the point does stand that the boy knows about us and Toji's connection. Has that not invited some form of interest? Naruto and Satoru shot one another a look. No, seriously, they said as Ogi blinked in confusion. Megu-kun only really cares about his sister, taking care of her, and making her happy as Naru said. Hell, she's the same way back, Satoru said. Outside of training, the only interest he really has is in seeing how it can progress. Ah, so it's true, the boy had the coveted 10 shadows. Damn it all, so Toji dying wasn't to our benefit, Naobito could concede that point. The man being alive was better in the long run, but now that was as these two said. Null and void. I can assume you had a binding vow, Gigi, Naruto said, and the man shrugged. Couldn't, the man's lack of cursed energy made that utterly impossible, Naobito said, minding the boy's look of acceptance without a hint of surprise. Aha, I guess you got comfortable, so this child and Toji were close somehow. His eyes went to Naruto's wrists, what were clearly metal black bands jogging his memory a bit. My word, he barely kept his reaction in check. The bastard was training him. Those shackles were similar to the ones Toji would wear around the time he was in the Zenin clan. Personally made here to lower his ridiculous strength and speed. And the boy had them. That's rough, Naruto said with sincerity, and the old sorcerer really wondered if this was why Toji had grown attached to the boy. This sincerity was surprising to the old man, especially with the current touchy topic. Who could so easily put that aside to speak with such emotion, yet still look willing to argue the previous point in an instant? They're training him, likely both of them, call it a hunch. There was another contract I'd have to inform you of that isn't dead yet, though. The 4 others looked surprised, but none more than Naruto, who was the target Naobito's gaze. All right, you want to tell me specifically, don't you? The boy said as Naobito nodded. Nayaya stared at his father in disbelief. What is it? There was something odd about this. Why did Naruto seem to gain some odd favor from his father? Should we leave? It'd be prudent of you all, Naobito said as Ogi grimaced, but got up regardless. I got this, Aniki, Naruto told Satoru. I have a feeling this is going to be a secret that won't be passed between anyone else, he added as the GOJO head hummed before nodding. This is yours, I'm sure, the man said before getting up and leaving with the 3. You best mind those fingers, Naobito-san, Satoru said without a hint of heat or venom. But the air seemed to vibrate for a mere moment, the man not even stopping to issue the threat. Really cementing a fact that had been the reason he was a special grade. Naobito smirked a bit as the other 3 left. Honestly, I wouldn't mind trying to trade blows with the supposed best of your generation, he said to Naruto, who chuckled. Well, he's the best of his generation, maybe. The blonde grinned as the old man laughed with an intense stare. Oh, surely, how could I forget? Truly, these kids would be something to be feared. They were those types. The ones who'd either become utter fools or truly stand atop the world. He looked forward to it. So, what was it about Megumi you wanted to talk about? Naruto asked curiously. Floating a centimeter above the water of the Zenin clan's lakefront, Satoru focused under the intense stares of Mai and Maki. "You're that guy," Maki said with a squinty-eyed look, Satoru grinning a bit as he turned around clockwise before floating upside down. "HMPH, show off," she pouted as he chuckled. "I am that guy," he said with a grin as Mai barely held back her smirk, but her eyes danced with amusement. "What's up, gal pals?" Maki blinked. Maybe it's just a GOJO thing," she muttered as he raised a brow while Mai wore a nervous look. "You're Naruto's cousin." "I am that." "Do you know what's been up with him recently?" Satoru blinked. They can't mean about him so. This was something before all of this. "Wah," he began to say only for his gaze to go to Mai. The girl's look of misery but pleading had him cupping his chin. "What?" Maki asked. "Well, sorry, that's probably my fault," Satoru said, righting himself before rubbing the back of his head as Mai wore a look of not relief, but guilt. Something had likely happened between those two that Satoru might need to ask about. "Oh, I guess he was too busy." Maki looked a bit out while Mai sighed. "He used to train with us a lot, but he kind of vanished." No, seriously, was this what Naruto had been doing? Once again, sorry, you see, he grinned a bit. "Naruto's gonna go and find a tree, I know how that sounds," he quickly said at Maki's raised brow. Even Mai looked confused. "He's gotta do it to improve his 2 Shikigami." 2? Mai's eyes widened. I thought he only had 1. "He made a new one after stern training. I'm pretty sure he would have told you guys that you could try that stuff." "Ugh, he did," Maki groaned as Satoru snickered. "I just can't. I'm not allowed to." She grit her teeth as the special grades snickers died and left a frown in their place. "Of course, we literally just spoke of this. That was gonna be rough for her." "Sorry, even if I have no idea what it's like for you." "It's whatever. Naruto typically just makes us work out while Mai tries to use her cursed energy to keep up." She grinned as her sister pouted. "She got a lot better, too." "HMPH maybe," Mai admitted. Playing with Naruto was always so physically intensive that he told her she could use cursed energy reinforcement to keep up at any time. Thank God he had, because trying to match her sister and him physically was a pain in the ass. But it had results, worryingly. She got a bit better at it over the year of their friendship and even had a little fun with it on her own when she wasn't busy with chores. "Well, I can tell your control is around the same level as Megumi's," Satoru said. "He's a boy we've been taking care of with his sister and training with over the past couple of months." "God, are boys that good at this?" Maki asked with a groan. Nah, Megu's been training almost every day for the time he's been here. That wouldn't be fair to you." Maki could maybe accept that. "Still, can you talk to Naruto? It'd be nice to not have to deal with this damn house every now and then." "I'll look into it," Satoru said with a smile as the boy in question came out of the main clan house and walked over to them. Mai froze before hurrying off. "I'm gonna go and do some chores." Satoru's jaw dropped a bit while Maki groaned. "I don't want to think about that," she said, but her eyes locked onto Naruto's approach. The boy didn't look harmed or bothered, just curious, and it all fell away into surprise as he saw her. "Huh? Maki-chan?" Naruto said before hurrying over. "It's been nearly a month and a half." "She's just been wondering when your tree search would give you time to place," Satoru said with a fake grin. "Okay, how to manage this situation?" Naruto observed him as Maki nodded. "You haven't been around. I guess this tree's pretty big business," she said to him. "You ever gonna come around, though?" she asked. Naruto considered the entire situation. "Sure, got Maki-chan. Right now we've got to deal with some hot news." He frowned as Satoru's expression became neutral, the girl blinking in surprise. "What is he?" Her eyes widened and she grimaced a bit, holding her arm. "Oh. Yeah, well, it might be a bit. Sorry. We just have to deal with all of this," Naruto admitted to her. "I understand, not fully, but Maki could read him pretty well." If the normally excitable and energetic Naruto was looking so reserved, the situation with Geto Suguru was probably bad. Very, very bad. "Take care, all right?" "I will, thanks, Maki-chan." They left moments after that, the two GOJOs disappearing from sight down the staircases away from the Zenin estate. From afar, Mai watched with a conflicted expression before slinking off. Tokyo Jujutsu High Dormitories. The news had been received as one would have expected. Yuta looked down along with Yaga, Kiroi, and Riko. Minato grimaced at the very idea of it all. It's Obaido all over again, but this time it wasn't due to the machinations of a madman. He chose this. Mei sighed as Shoko's fists clenched. Her fellow students grinned shaky and fake. I guess this is what he chose, she said, but her voice wobbled. Her chest trembled, and the two were quickly sitting down against the walls where she scrunched in on herself. Got him it. Oh, Tsumiki looked down with a shaky breath. Geto-sensei, she whispered, hugging a small rabbit Shikigami, her Shikigami. Megumi grimaced as divine dogs looked at him with concern, nuzzling the boy's shins. Cushion aside, hugging Satoru from behind. You two were right to tell us, she said. You shouldn't be suffering with this alone. Satoru's fists clenched before they slackened, Naruto's shoulders held by Yuta. Yeah, they said in unison. We know. For now, we'll use the week to rest, Minato said, and time to accept what's happened. All right? We will. 3 days later. Naruto laid down on his futon in a pair of green shorts and a white shirt with a toad on it. Lacking his usual wrappings, his two eyes stared at the ceiling in thought. He raised his hand and stared at it. If I'd had my powers, could I have done anything? He wanted to say yes, he did so much. But like with Sasuke, all the power he could have maybe mustered would have meant nothing because it wasn't the problem. People were complex and sensitive. This was something that had likely bothered Geto for some time, maybe around since the summer, so maybe for a few months. A month right before his birthday, what a present. Damn it, he groaned, not giving the opening door to his room much attention. Hey, Megumi. Tsumiki-chan. Naruto-kun, Naruto blinked before sitting up in shock, turning his head to see none other than Mai standing there along with Maki, Megumi, and Tsumiki. Hey, the girl whispered, looking uncomfortable and concerned. Sitting in the forests outside of his old home, Naruto rubbed the back of his head. We haven't seen you in a while, Tsumiki told him, wearing a white shirt and long black skirt, the girl's Shikigami hopping up to him before sitting on his shoulder. Yeah, I'm sorry, Naruto said to them all, Maki shooting him a look. You're not like yourself, she said as Mai fiddled with her fingers, the two in their usual clothes. No wonder that guy had to call us. You're usually the one who does this, Maki grumbled as Naruto blinked. That guy? Dressed in their training uniform, Megumi cringed. Gojo-sensei, Megumi said, getting a bit of a wince out of the blonde who looked guilty. No, don't do that. We hate it when you're like this, the boy admitted, looking down as divine dogs sat at the sides of the children, shooting Naruto pleading looks. Naruto didn't want that. His precious people should be happy, and not like this because of him of all people. I'm sorry, I didn't want you all to feel like this, Naruto sighed as his eyes roamed over the group. His and Mai's gazes caught, the girl biting her lip mouthing something he blinked at. I need to do something, the blonde said as Tsumiki blinked before smiling a bit. Yeah, I'm not good at staying in the dumps if you guys are willing to go out of your way to tell me. I probably should have known better since that's the case. You're allowed to be unhappy, too, sometimes, Megumi muttered with a bit of a pout before Naruto grinned. It's just better when you're not. I'm glad you care. I do, the blonde said before closing his eyes and crossing his arms. I've been in the dumps long enough. That's the thing I need to accept. I shouldn't spend a week moping when I can be doing something to never let this situation happen again. Naruto declared, eyes opened and revealing a determined expression. I just need to do something to bring everyone else's spirits up. Really? Tsumiki blinked before smiling brightly as Naruto grinned. Yep, someone's gotta help might as well be me and, well, he blushed before grumbling. I might have an idea, but after I talk to my Chan about something. Now a couple feet away, with Sage now out and about to chat with the others, Naruto and Mai sat by the back of a tree, out of sight of the others. What's going on, Mai-chan? He asked her gently, the girl pulling up her knees and allowing her forehead to fall between them. Does it have to do with what's been going on between us for the past month? The girl scrunched in further before nodding. Did something happen, Mai-chan? She slowly lifted her head so he could see her grimace. I was just angry. I doubt it, Naruto frowned as she flinched. I know how the Zenin clan runs things. Mai-chan, I literally had to talk with your uncle about this and why Megumi wouldn't want to join. Huh? The girl stared at him in shock before Naruto blinked before gasping and chuckling sheepishly. What do you mean? Well, Megumi is the son of a guy by the name of Toji Zenin, she choked as he nodded. Yeah, but he changed his name to Fushiguro due to falling in love and having Megumi. That guy, he's dead now, unfortunately, and since he essentially left it up to me and Aniki, we chose to help Megumi and his sister. Mai was floored. That sounds crazy, she said as he nodded. It's the truth. She considered his words before sighing. Yes, it's because of my family. Mai's head flopped back between her knees while her hand grabbed his. Naruto blinked before closing his eyes, allowing her to grab his hand as much as she could. Mai intertwined their fingers before letting out a shuddering sigh. They sat there for a few seconds, the girl applying different bits and kinds of pressure to their handhold. After the 10-second mark, she released him and stuffed her steaming face into her knees. Naruto just chuckled a bit and she grumbled. Sorry, she said to him, face bright red and expression a bit disheartened. I wasn't a great friend. We all have those kinds of days. I wasn't exactly being a great friend recently either. Naruto smiled for her and she pouted. Why can't you just let her be sorry, be angry? Why did he have to make her happy? Was it something he liked doing? Or was it all his charm? Mai feared the answer with a red face. Whatever, what about your idea? Naruto blushed before moaning, confusing her. Well, let's go back to the others. This is probably going to be the worst for me above all of us. 2 days later. Satoru had chosen to spend the 5th day of his personal self-isolation just walking around. Wearing some baggy black clothes and black sandals, he aimlessly trekked along a path by the dormitories, mind elsewhere until he came to an odd sight after going further in. Yuta sitting by a small pond, one that he knew held a few fish she'd personally brought. Sitting in a black t-shirt, shorts, and brown sandals, he raised a brow at her now unpigtailed hair currently laying down her back. He blinked behind his blindfold before pulling the item down to allow him to see her fully. She hummed a small tune that he blinked at, finding it to be a song from an anime he was sure she didn't watch. Butterfly. He sat down by a tree near her, dampening his movements with Limitless, and just listened. To an alternate version of a rather somber upbeat song he realized he might have needed to listen to, crazily enough. I'll probably buy an MP3 soon, it'd probably help. Still, He looked at Yuta as she kept humming that tune. By the end of it, she sighed, likely still taken a hold of by their recent betrayal. Then there was a beep from their phones, the woman's form flinching as her head turned to see him. He rubbed the back of his head as she blushed a soft pink that fascinated him before he focused on his phone. The moment he'd pulled it out, he'd seen a notification from Naruto. A video? Satoru blinked before opening it up, wondering what it was. It's an RT, he snorted a bit as she blinked, pulling out her phone in an instant and looking at. Yuta eyes shined at the kids trying their best to play instruments and sing along with them. Satoru snickered as he listened in, eyes turning to see. The sacred eyes of the GOJO clan widened at the giggling woman's own bright set, Yuta demure posture but brilliant expression getting a silent wheeze out of him. Whoa, he turned back around ASAP. Okay, nothing crazy, she's just giggling at the video, he thought in a higher octave. God, this was weird. The next day. Naruto kept slamming his head into a pillow as Kushina started laughing with the other kids looking embarrassed as well. It was a good song, Yuta smiled as the boy groaned. Yeah well, Naruto groaned before putting his pillow down. I gotta keep the energy, he admitted as they all blinked in surprise. Despite what just happened, I needed to do my job to make sure my precious people were doing fine. I wasn't doing that until my pals kinda woke me up, he nodded to himself. What happened with Geto sucked. That's the truth, but we can't just dwell on being sad and stuff. It's fine at times, but we've gotta take these experiences and keep moving on. I'm not sure what he's thinking, but I will find him, and when I do, I'm gonna beat his pretty boy face into the dirt until he can give me a good reason for all of this. Satoru's eyebrows shot into his hairline, eyes wide behind his blindfold before rubbing the back of his neck while Minato smiled proudly. Yaga crossed his arms before nodding. You're right. Doing nothing but delving into despair isn't right, he admitted as Kuroi smiled brightly. And well, he began as the others looked at him and the maid. You all might like to know that we Kuroi is pregnant, the caretaker said as Yaga covered his face. The entire room's jaws dropped. What? They shouted in unison as Satoru stumbled in disbelief. Huh? He gawked as the women crowded the proud Kuroi. I what? Well, that certainly worked well, Naruto said with a look of surprise. How ya think he's gonna make Panda before or after this kid? Who? Oh, right, you'll learn about it in a month. Satoru was left flabbergasted as Megumi blinked before smiling a bit while Tsumeki giggled. Maki huffed, looking a bit not inspired but certainly electrified while Mai just seemed happy. Like she'd complained about before, Naruto seemed to just have that effect on her. A boy who sought the happiness of others and did his damnedest to ensure it flourished. Yeah, she kinda got it now. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 4. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author Nasha Rei-Kun on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video, till then goodbye.